Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined today by Ray Ora.
Hey, good morning.
Jonathan Voitko.
Hello, everyone.
Writer, director, producer, Robert Meyer-Burnett.
Where am I?
And most importantly, you guys are here, and here's how the show's going to go. We're going to start off by talking about some predetermined topics. Then we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you've got a comment, question, thought, or opinion that you'd like us to address, go ahead and use our tip link that you can see here at
right here
at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. And as long as it's appropriate for us to address on the show, we'll address it on the show. And hey, here's the really good news about the tip link. Is that for those of you guys, we know like 90% of the audience of the show can't watch live. Well, by using the tip link, you can actually send in a question anytime, 24 hours a day. If at 3 in the morning, a question strikes you, you can go ahead and send it on in and we'll get around to it at the next episode. All right, guys, with that down, let's get things started with this, shall we?
Yeah.
He-Man. All right, so they've been talking for years about getting a He-Man thing going, right? John M. Chu was going to be doing a He-Man for a while. Of course, he's doing Wicked right now. Then even years before that, they were trying to get one going. They had that Battle Cat images come out and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And then, not long ago, they announced that Kubo and the Two Strings and Bumblebee director Travis Knight, who killed it on both of those films, was going to be directing a He-Man film. And now, according to the Hollywood Reporter, we've got our He-Man. And it's a guy by the name of Nicholas Galitzine. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. I have no idea. I've never heard his last name spoken. But the Hollywood Reporter wrote this. Masters of the Universe has found its He-Man. Nicholas Galitzine, who recently starred in the Amazon MGM rom-com The Idea of You. By the way, nice little movie. I checked it out. It's actually a nice little movie.
I liked it.
Anyway, has been cast in the studio's live-action Masters movie, which has Travis Knight set to direct. Knight will direct from a screenplay by Chris Butler. Mattel Films' Robbie Brenner and escape artist Todd Black, Jason Blumenthal, and Steve Tisch are producing. All right, let's talk about this kid, Nicholas, shall we? The only thing I really have to go on is him in The Idea of You. Now, he's done some other things. I pulled up the IMDb here. He's done Mary and George, which I didn't see. Red, White, and Royal Blue, which I did watch. He's pretty good in that. He was one of the guys in Bottoms. He did Purple Hearts. I didn't see. I didn't see this Cinderella he did. I didn't watch The Craft Legacy. So I don't have much of a background on the kid. All I know is that you put him across from Anne Hathaway, and he works really well.
Held his own.
Yep, he really did, against who is, even at her young age, a Hollywood icon in Anne Hathaway. And by the way, why is it trendy and the cool thing to hate on Anne Hathaway? She's nothing but delightful and awesome.
I don't know. I've always thought she was delightful and awesome.
Yeah,
she's Catwoman.
I don't get. She's fantastic. Anyway,
Catwoman.
So the dude's really good in this one little movie. Okay, so I'm all for that. Not a household name actor. I'm perfectly good with that too. And the guy's in shape. I don't know if we got any images of him here, Jonathan, but
yeah.
the guy's definitely in shape.
And he'll get in better shape.
All right. But here's the thing. Good actor, at least from the little I've seen him in. That ain't He-Man. That ain't He-Man. I mean, he's in good shape. He's in much better shape. By the way, whenever I point out that somebody may not have the right particular physique for a particular character, why are you body shaming them, John? I'm not body shaming. The guy's in much better shape than me. He's in wonderful shape, okay? I'm just saying he's a in good shape guy. The name of the character is literally He-Man. You got to get some...
Oh, come on. It's Prince Adam.
Well, no. Well, I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to that part in a second. But you need some John Cena, Dave Bautista. I'm not saying it has to be John Cena or Dave Bautista, but you got to get a John Cena or Dave Bautista or Dwayne The Rock Johnson or the Mountain from Game of Thrones.
Alan Ritchson. You need to get one of, like, that's the physique. You're He-Man. Your costume is literally a fur loincloth with nothing but pecs.
Well, it's more than pecs, but yeah.
Well, yeah, pecs and abs and traps. And, triceps.
It'd be weird if he was just covered in pecs.
That's another movie. Or covered in fur. And I just don't see it because he doesn't just have to get in better shape. This dude needs to put on like 35 to 40 pounds of muscle. And even with Hollywood magic, I don't know. So that makes me wonder a question. Is this, as Ray once pointed out, a He-Man Prince Adam issue? Are we, instead of looking at our He-Man, are we actually looking at our Prince Adam? And then they body switch, much like Shazam, right? You got the kid playing Billy. Boom. Zachary is coming in and playing Shazam. That's kind of a He-Man thing. Although the one logic loop in the He-Man animated show, and of course I grew up watching that show, was, wait a minute, even as a 10-year-old child, like, wait, Prince Adam looks exactly like He-Man. Same haircut, same face, same everything. Just his voice is a little bit deeper. But, I mean, so are they doing a Prince Adam He-Man thing? Or are they literally going to spend the next 10 months pumping this kid full of horse steroids and giving him a lot of beef to try to bulk him up, and he'll play both? That's possible. Anyway, the kid, the stuff I've seen him in, he can act. So I'm happy with that. I don't know, Rob, what do you think about this casting, and how do you think they're going to handle the character?
Well, first of all, with Travis Knight directing, I actually interviewed him right before he started directing Bumblebee for a licensing thing for was it Hasbro? And he was an incredibly impressive guy. And just sitting down talking to him, he was very thoughtful. I'm like, this guy, even though, his father, Phil Knight, the founder of Nike, gave him a bunch of cash, he turned it into something amazing. And his studio, his animation studio that turned out Kubo and the Two Strings, I put my trust in Travis Knight. I think whoever he hires, he's seen something, obviously, that we haven't seen yet. And I think I would always trust in him. Just like he cast Haley Steinfeld to be in Bumblebee.
Yeah.
So what is he going to do with this guy? I don't quite know. I like the idea of splitting the character if he
Into
turns
two performers.
Yeah, I like that idea. Because if not, you're going to wind up with the same problem that you have with the animated show. Wait a minute, that guy looks exactly like
At least,
He-Man.
But you guys are talking about
Superman
the
put
older,
on glasses.
You're talking about the older He-Man, though. Like the newer iterations of He-Man,
Right.
the difference is night and day. And also, you could think about Wonder Woman. If you go back to the
True.
animation, she's huge. But in the newer ones, Prince Diana, she's like real lean.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
Gal
like
Gadot saying
yeah.
kind of, and it is Eternia. Maybe
Yeah.
people aren't as perceptive.
I like this.
Maybe
know,
people aren't as perceptive. They're pretty dumb on Eternia, just so you know.
I really like this casting. I like the way this kid looks. I think Travis Knight, he's gonna do this.
Oh yeah, he'll.
Oh
knock it
yeah,
out.
listen, that's the main reason I am as interested in this as I am, because of the guy directing it. That's the single most important
Yeah.
piece of this puzzle, right?
I think it's a wonderful choice, and you know what? He'll bring the right balance because look, let's face it, He-Man isn't exactly Oppenheimer. It's not like it's the subject matter needs to be imbued with something that makes it appealing to somebody older than 8.
Yeah.
And I think that I know people are going to get mad at me. I'm sure Brandon's already writing me a text, but I think that you need to turn this into not totally Lord of the Rings, but maybe somewhere between Dungeons and Dragons and Lord of the Rings. That we love.
Yep.
Because that movie, I watched that movie again the other day.
Dungeons and Dragons?
Yeah.
It's great.
It's great.
It's
It's
a
so much fun.
delightful
And I'm like,
film.
if you're going to make a He-Man movie, I know it didn't make a lot of money, but that tone, if you could strike that tone with all the characters, and he could do it. Travis Knight can do it. After watching Bumblebee and Kubo and the Two Strings, those two films show you the way. And I think, how are they going to get him to play it? They've got a great actor. I think that kid's got a real future.
He's clearly got chops.
And clearly they probably tested him playing both sides of that character, and he impressed. And if they've gone this far, because I'm sure he had to look at a lot of dudes before he decided.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
And the same, that's why I have such faith in James Gunn's Superman movie. They spent so long doing chemistry tests between all the actors that they know when we watch this cast. And I think Travis Knight did the same thing. And we might not see it right now, but I think we will when the movie is finally realized.
2026 is when it's supposed to come out.
I want this color palette to be bright. Like you can make it like a more like a real like that Battle Cat image.
Right.
It looked really fierce, right? Like,
Yeah, oh yeah, look great.
But you can still do that and have like a bright palette, like a bright, vibrant palette. Like that's the way I see Eternia and all that.
I think it should be muted in sepia.
You think? Well, I mean, if you is Castle Grayskull, should that be?
Well,
Yeah. But that was even bright.
Yeah.
The green.
but
on
it's
that
a bright
castle.
gray.
Yes,
It's a bright gray.
It's a vivid. It's
A vivid gray. Yes, it is.
So let me go around the room then.
Okay.
I'll start with Ray. Do they get two different actors for Adam and He-Man, or are they going to stick with one actor?
I think I want to stick with one actor on this one just because of this actor. Like, I just want to stick with that. I don't know what he's going to do with his body to make it change. It doesn't have to be a big change. Like, just like us, just a little bit where you can't tell they're there. You can tell that they're different.
All right.
I think one actor would be fine.
Jonathan, what do you think?
I think it's the same actor.
You think they're going to do the same actor? Rob?
I do too. We might not even have a Prince Adam in this show. Maybe he's just He-Man.
No.
Nah.
Yeah, you have that do the thing, man. The thing.
Yeah, then you
can't
then
do
you
the
lose out
thing.
your main thing.
You gotta do the thing,
Plus,
man.
you're limiting a lot of your story, right?
It's true.
If you don't have Prince Adam, I think they're gonna go split. I'm just guessing. I think they're gonna have a different actor because the kid's just not big enough to be. I mean, he's not even in the right neighborhood to be big enough to be He-Man.
But wasn't the He-Man obnoxious? Like, even the toys, they all had the same body. That was like
They're not gonna look like that.
Unreal view of
even-
like what a man should
but
look
Alan
like.
Ritchson, like I look at Alan Ritchson like He-Man. You look at John Cena, He-Man. Like you got somebody like that maybe doesn't have to act as much as
To be
Prince
fair-
Adam
But
does.
Chris Evans as Captain America when he got
Yeah,
jacked
even
and
his
he's cut
body
in
was
wood.
fine.
Captain America does not look like He-Man.
Dolph Lundgren didn't look like that.
I mean, but Dolph Lundgren
Dolph
was
Lundgren
like
was
the
huge.
biggest guy available
very
at the
tall,
time,
though.
right?
Yeah, he was huge, but he was huge. He was in great shape.
Yeah.
He could get in
And-
Captain America shape.
I mean, yeah, you can get into Captain America shape, but I'm not going to look at a Captain America shape in the fur loincloth and think He-Man.
They might have to do the Captain America, the first movie, sort of effects, where he was the skinny
Where
Steve
instead
Rogers.
of digitally make him look
Yeah.
skinny, they digitally make him look
Whichever
bigger.
way they choose, I think they're going to do it that way.
They
Right.
just they got to shoot
I
from
still
a
think they're going to get another actor.
they got to shoot from
But
a
I might be
low
wrong.
angle, add pecs all over him. We're good.
And pecs all over.
Yeah.
You never see his anything. You never see his chin down because his pecs come out way too far.
The thing is, if he's really charismatic, he could still look like Chris Evans He-Man and you'll love him.
Well, I mean, look. At the end of the day, whatever doubts I have about, not every physical characteristic about a character is super important, right?
Right.
They're not. Like, I don't care if this. I'm fine that Hugh Jackman is a 6'3" Wolverine. I'm fine. Like, that's fine. But He-Man's name is literally He-Man. It's got to be something. So I don't know. But look, at the end of the day, I trust Travis Knight. And if
Yes.
Travis Knight's got an idea that makes it work with this kid just being a really good in shape kid who is both He-Man and Prince Adam, I will give Travis Knight the benefit of the doubt 7 days a week. So, but I'm still going to guess he's going to get a second actor to play He-Man. But we'll find out. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? It's the most tangible, real thing to movement towards a He-Man movie that we've had in decades. What do you think of the casting? Did you like the idea of you? I thought it was really good, and maybe a lot of you guys didn't see it. Are they going to do Prince Adam and He-Man as two separate actors or the same actor? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? John Watts, who directed the 3 Tom Holland Spider-Man films. And by the way, I don't know why, but out of directors who've directed 3 or more MCU movies, this dude does not get a lot of love. And he doesn't get a lot of buzz. He crafted and made 3 terrific Spider-Man movies. And a lot of people still don't even know the name John Watts. Well, he's got a couple things coming up, including a little Star Wars project, but that's coming later. But first up, he's got a movie where he gets to direct 2 of the biggest icons in the business, Brad Pitt and George Clooney, the Cloon, in a new movie called Wolves. Not Wolves, Wolves. Now, we've heard about this, and we talked about it, and, John Watts directing it, George Clooney and Brad Pitt. I mean, this could be really interesting. The trailer finally dropped today. Took a look at it. Not just because of Clooney and Pitt, but this thing kind of oozed Ocean 11 vibes to me
Yeah.
a little bit. And I mean that in all the best way. I loved the trailer. I thought it was really great. And you could feel the John Wattism of it, because you could also feel some of that Spider-Man DNA in the way the scenes flowed and paced and the quippiness of the dialogue and all that kind of stuff. First of all, I love Pitt and Clooney. I love these two guys. I love seeing them in whatever it is they're in together. I love seeing them individually. I'm very anxious to see how John Watt's career goes. I can't wait for his Star Wars series. Hopefully it's good. But anyway, I saw the trailer and loved it. Rob, you had a chance to take a look at it. What did you think?
Dude, loved this trailer. I watched it with Elizabeth as we were having our morning coffee, and she was laughing out loud and talking about, oh my God, I have to see this movie. And like you know, it's a throwback to movies we used to get a lot of, those sort of mismatched duos, buddy cop movies, or something like 48 Hours with Nick Nolte and Eddie Murphy. It had that vibe. And I'm like, I don't care. I'm watching these two guys having a blast on screen, clearly having fun. I don't even care what they do. I just want to watch George Clooney and Brad Pitt in a movie again, doing whatever they're doing. And I'm like, the two movie stars having a blast. And things blow up. There's car chases. There's villains. There's gunplay. Count me in. I thought it looked delightful.
By the way, one of our live viewers, Thomas BDL, which I wonder if that's a play on Tom Bombadil. By the way, first images of Tom Bombadil got released today for the upcoming season 2 of Rings of Power, which is kind of cool. Anyway, so Tom Bombadil makes another nice comparison. He says, the nice guys. It had a little bit of nice guy feel to it too, right?
Or Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Very Shane Black.
Yes, a little bit of that in there. A little Shane Black. I actually really liked it. I thought it looked good. Now, whether it'll be good or not, we'll have to wait and see. But just like I was saying earlier that I trust Travis Knight, I trust John Watts.
Yes.
He's done pretty good. Anyway, questions for you guys. Did you have a chance to see the trailer for Wolves? Not Wolves. Wolves? If so, what did you think? I personally thought it was a banger. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. That down. Let's move on to this, shall we? You know, I was just mentioning that John Watts has got a Star Wars series coming out. I'm going to admit, like as a massive lifelong Star Wars fan, the last 3 seasons of Star Wars television I have watched, I have not liked. Because I believe Andor was 4 ago. I think since Andor, and correct me if I'm getting my timing wrong, but since Andor, we've had Mandalorian season 3, which I love Mandalorian, but season 3 was flat. Then we had Obi-Wan, which was despite a strong start, was not good. And then you had Ahsoka, which did not have a strong start and was still not good. Had its moments, though. I'll give that to it. Definitely had its moments. But so I have not enjoyed the last 3 seasons of Star Wars television coming out. There's a season coming out in just a few days called The Acolyte that I've been very excited about for almost 5 years. Being showrun by the showrunner of Russian Dolls, which is great. I've not loved the trailers, to be honest with you. I just, you know me, I call it as I see it. I did not like the trailers. The first reactions, though, including from some people who I know do not like Disney Star Wars, have been very positive about The Acolyte. So I'm like, I haven't liked the trailers, but I'm hearing from people that don't even like Disney Star Wars that they really like the show. We'll find out. By the way, side note, this morning, Fandango dropped tickets for an early fan screening of the first 2 episodes of The Acolyte in theaters. As soon as I went to look, they were all sold out, though. There was a theater in Colorado that still had some seats.
So I'm getting tickets right now.
Yeah, we're
but
flying.
all the ones in California were already sold out.
Wow. Good for them.
And we looked at it an hour and 45 minutes after the tickets went on sale, and every California screening was sold out. So, I mean, maybe there's some excitement for this. Anyway, so now we are less than a week away from the show debuting. And now we've got some character posters came out with some actual descriptions of the characters. Not in-depth bios, but it gives us a little bit of a look. So they start off here with the headliner, Jedi Master Soul, played by Squid Game's Lee Jung-jae, and he's playing Jedi Master Soul, and they describe Soul as, Master Soul is a wise, highly respected Jedi Master, strong in the ways of the Force. Still and stalwart, Soul has a deep sense of compassion and will defend those who cannot defend themselves. He is a powerful warrior with intense emotions, so he's Vulcan,
with intense emotions that he uses his Jedi training to balance. So instead of logic, he uses his Jedi training to maintain balance. So that's Jedi Master Soul. Then we move on to Trinity. We got Jedi Master Indara, which I mean, put Carrie-Anne Moss in anything. I'm there. Anyway, Indara is described as Master Indara is a Jedi Master of great physical and mental skill. She has exacting control of her Force abilities, exuding a sense of command and authority with just her presence. Though she does not seek combat, she is skilled enough to engage on her own terms. Then we move on to May, which we've seen a lot in the trailer. May is described as a mysterious young woman with a tragic past. May gets swept up into a sinister mystery, one that puts her into the center of a conflict in unexpected ways. She's determined to exact vengeance on those who wronged her, and little can stop May on her quest. All right, then we go to one of the more talked about characters out there, Jedi Master Kelnaka, who is being played by the same actor who played Chewbacca in the recent movies, Jonas Suotamo, I think that's how you say it. Anyway, big dude, met him. He's a monster. Anyway, Jedi Master Kelnaka is described as a Wookiee Jedi Master. Kelnaka has sequestered himself in the tangled jungles of Kofar. He is a loner who lives a solitary life. A little bit of Yoda in there, I guess you could say. Then we've got to Daphne Keene, X-23 from Logan. Daphne Keene is playing a character called Lon. And Jeki Lon. And Jeki is a Padawan who's described as a skilled and studious Padawan learner. Jeki Lon shows great promise in her path to becoming a Jedi Knight. The Padawan apprentice to Master Soul is young, but she projects calm and conducts herself with maturity. So, our first kind of insight into the description of them. Here's the thing, Rob. You guys know, ever since they announced the Acolyte, that has been my number one most anticipated Star Wars show that I've been looking forward to. Star Wars Disney Plus, other than Andor and a couple of seasons of Mandalorian, which are great, I think it's fair to say it's been a mixed bag, right? Again, I didn't like season 3 of Mandalorian, didn't like Obi-Wan, didn't like Ahsoka. So, my enthusiasm for Acolyte waned a bit. Then the trailers came. I didn't hate the trailers. They didn't take away anything from me, but they were flat. There was nothing about the trailers to increase my excitement for these things. And so I found lately my enthusiasm muted. As a matter of fact, even when one of our viewers said, John, we got The Boys and House of the Dragon and Acolyte all coming out in the same month. Are you going to do after shows for all of them? And I'm like, I don't think I'm doing one for Acolyte. But then the first reactions came out to the first 4 episodes. And again, I wouldn't get too swayed by that, except, and I won't say which one of them they were, there's a couple of them that gave reactions that I personally know do not like Star Wars on Disney Plus and have not liked, with the exception of Andor, have not liked Star Wars stuff on Disney Plus, and they loved what they saw. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe there's something here. Anyway, Rob, we had to take a chance to look at the posters. We got some characters descriptions. What's your overall anticipation level level for the show right now? Has it moved at all recently? And do any of these characters particularly interest you?
Well, first of all, overall, I'm guarded. I'm taking the wait and see attitude. I don't feel like you. I thought the trailers were surprisingly flat.
Yeah. And
the dialogue, the delivery of the dialogue was not something I went, whoa, those characters are really neat. I'm like, So I'm guarded. The responses from people was, I thought, really shocked. It actually shocked me how much people liked it. I was like, really? This is that good? These character descriptions are cool. Come on. A Wookiee. I love the name of the Wookiee. At a Wookiee Jedi Knight.
Naka. Yeah, I like
bring it
that.
on. Great name. Redolent of Chewbacca's name a little bit, but totally cool. I'm into it.
How many Russian names end in OV?
That's what I mean. That's why I like
right?
that they kept that naming convention. I thought it was cool. But here's the thing, John. Star Wars, when you first saw Star Wars, you had Obi-Wan as a Jedi Knight. You had Luke training to become a Jedi Knight. But you also had a princess and you had a smuggler. And I like the diversity of the different kinds of characters that were part of that story because you had different character energy. If once again we're just seeing Jedi Knights, I mean, like, I hope that we get a different flavor of Star Wars character in this show as well, because it's a big universe. And if we're just gonna, if Star Wars is just going to be about the Jedi, Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back were not necessarily just about the Jedi. There was always two different tacks. There was groups of characters that were different things. And now it seems like all we're doing, like Star Wars, is only about either the Jedi or bounty hunters. I mean, I hope, and it looked like the show had a lot of interesting characters in it besides these. So I'm really hoping that we get more of a sort of an overall view of the Star Wars universe that we haven't seen before, and we're not just dealing with the Jedi or Sith Lords. I'd like to see more of the universe.
I guess it depends on the story they're telling.
Yeah,
right?
100%. 100%.
Because I mean, if it's a truly an internal mystery surrounding the Jedi,
Right.
to see Jedi functioning in that caste system they have of Jedi Masters, Jedi Knights, Padawans, the interaction of that, the different personalities that they may all have, I could see it, but I think you're 100% right. I think they have to make sure to pepper in some strong side characters that aren't Jedi as well to balance out the story.
Because I got to tell you, as much hatred as Attack of the Clones as it gets, I liked seeing Obi-Wan interacting with like Dexter Jettster and going like Lana Suet over on Camino.
Yeah.
Like just talking with weird people in the Star Wars universe that had nothing to do with the Jedi. Cloners from Camino. You know, I liked him. I
you
like
like Mel's Diner in Star Wars, do you?
Well, that was not good. I mean, I like the idea. I like the idea of a you know, like a bartender, like
an information broker.
An information something. And I liked, you know, death sticks going to a club.
Yes, you want some death sticks.
You know, and Canto Bite. Go to a casino.
By the way, I'm sorry to sidetrack. The kid who did that, you want some death sticks? Wasn't that somebody? That ended up being somebody. Like, it's like, did you know that the guy who was? Now I forget. I forget who it was. If anybody in the live chat knows who that was, let me know. Anyway.
But that's I would like to see a larger look at the Star Wars universe of the time. That's what I'm hoping for the show. In addition to, because we get the Jedi Knights. I know. But it'll be interesting to see.
I can't remember if you were on the show that we talked about. Did you see the fight scene that they released?
Yes.
Between Jedi Master Soul and May?
Yeah.
I don't know if the show's going to end up being garbage or not. But I said it on the show, and some people got mad at me for saying it, but I'm like, seriously, think about it. I think that's the best hand-to-hand combat we've ever seen in Star Wars.
I thought it was great. We didn't talk about it, but I thought it was really good. I'm like, okay. But I'm like, why didn't you put more of that in the trailer? You know, it's like,
yeah.
I mean, there was some of it, but you let that scene play. It would seem like they picked all the flattest line readings and like, I don't know who cut that trailer, but it wasn't good.
Do you remember us talking about the trailer? And I said, you know what they really need to do? Put out a scene, release a clip, and then along came that fight clip. And I'm like, okay, now you're starting to get me on board.
Right.
So I don't know.
I have my attention.
Yeah. You had my
I'm Calvin Candy now.
Now you have my attention. I don't know if this is going to be another piece of junk. I don't know if it's going to be amazing. I certainly hope it's more, Andor than Obi-Wan, but I don't know. We'll see. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about these character descriptions that we've gotten for these new upcoming characters? And where's your thought? My anticipation has been like a roller coaster on this. It's been going up and down, up and down, up and down. It's a little bit more swinging on the upside right now. Where's yours at right now? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we still have several other things to talk about, such as we're going to rank the 10 proposed characters that Giancarlo Esposito might be playing in the MCU, because we know he's coming up in the MCU. Also, Nobody, remember that great little movie with Bob Odenkirk? Yeah, it's now official, and they've set an actual production start date. We're going to discuss that. And Moana 2 dropped its first trailer. We're going to talk about that and a few things more. But before we do, we're going to take a quick second to thank a couple of sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at Harry's and Miracle Made. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video,
Harry's. You know, guys, in order to start the John Campea Show, I had to leave my high-paying corporate job in order to set myself up to be happier and enjoy more personal success. Because sometimes to get what you want, you have to challenge the status quo and blaze your own trail. And that's exactly what the folks at Harry's did. You see, at Harry's, they saw customers getting ripped off by questionable products in the shaving industry and decided to do something better. Harry's decided to pave their own road by making beautifully designed razors for a fraction of the price of the other big brands. Exceptional products, honest prices. That's Harry's. I have fallen in love with Harry's, from their foaming shaving gel that feels just luxurious on the skin to their incredible razor that feels just as good in the hand as it does going over your skin. They've got rich, lathering, skin-softening body wash in scents like redwood, wildlands, and stone. You see, Harry's provides German-engineered blades made in their own factory that stay sharp longer. You can get a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, foaming shave gel, and a travel cover for just $3 at harrys.com/Campea. Don't settle for the status quo. Blaze your own trail with Harry's. Get started with a $13 trial set for just $3 at harrys.com/Campea. That's harrys.com/Campea for a $3 trial set. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Miracle Made. Did you know that your temperature at night can have one of the greatest impacts on your sleep quality? If you wake up too hot or too cold, I highly recommend you check out Miracle Made's bed sheets. Inspired by NASA, Miracle Made uses silver-infused fabrics and makes temperature-regulating bedding so that you can sleep at the perfect temperature all night long. When they arrived at our house, my wife Anne loved the feel of them so much, she couldn't even wait for me to get home to put them on our bed. Miracle Made has self-cleaning. These sheets are infused with silver that prevents up to 99.7% of bacterial growth, leaving them to stay cleaner and fresh 3 times longer than other sheets. Miracle Sheets also have incredible comfort and quality. Miracle Sheets are luxuriously comfortable without the high price tag of other luxury brands and feel as nice, if not nicer, than sheets used by some 5-star hotels. So go to TryMiracle, that's TryMiracle.com/Campea to try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save over 40%. And if you use our promo code Campea at checkout, you'll get 3 free towels and save an extra 20%. Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you will get a full refund. So upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. Go to TryMiracle.com/Campea and use the code Campea to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40% off. Again, that's TryMiracle.com/Campea to treat yourself.
And thank you to our friends at Harry's and Miracle Made for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Giancarlo Esposito is simply flat out one of the most beloved actors out there right now. Everybody loves him. You don't have to love everything he's in, but everybody loves Giancarlo Esposito. He's kind of like Tom Hanks in that way. Gotta love the Hanks. Anyway, he has confirmed, and we do know that he is going to be in the MCU. The other day, we discussed the fact that he said that his character is going to be teased and then a series is going to come. So kind of narrowing down maybe who he could play. Now, one of the outlets that I read on a daily basis, I read like 15 outlets on a daily basis, and one of them is CBR. And they actually put out an interesting article this morning about 10 characters they could see Giancarlo Esposito playing. Now, as always, like, I don't really like getting into the X actor and X role kind of discussions, at least not off the top of my head. But when we've got something laid out like this, I think it's fun to kind of go into it and kind of address to see where they could do. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to go through these characters one by one, and we're going to do kind of what we did for Deadpool. We're going to switch over to the classroom here. We're going to do kind of what we did for Deadpool, which was we're going to take a look at the character that gets mentioned, and then we're going to put them somewhere on the scale here. A would be, yeah, we could really see that happening. B, yeah, that could happen. C, 50-50. D, probably not. E, absolutely not. So that's what we're going to do. Then we'll throw in some of our own guys as well. So let's get back over to it. We're going to start off with they listed number 10, Professor Charles Xavier, which is one that a lot of people speculated for a while. I think in his recent comments, I think Giancarlo Esposito has kind of, hinted that it's not going to be Charles Xavier. I think he would be a great Charles. but I'm going to probably go on a C on this because it seems to be a really good fit, but he's kind of hinted that it wouldn't be. So I'm going to go C. Rob, what about you?
I'd go C too, or even less. Is there a D?
Yeah.
Oh, there's
all
a
the
D.
E.
I'm gonna go D.
You're going to go down to D.
Yeah.
Jonathan, what about you?
Yeah, I was thinking D as well.
You're going to all the way down to D. Ray?
Lowest one.
E.
Yeah.
So you're like, absolutely not. He's going to be that guy. Okay. So we have a C, 2 Ds, and an E. So we'll put Professor X down in D. Okay. The next one that CBR proposes is Magneto. Now, Magneto's another one, kind of in the same vein as Charles, right? He's an iconic character, all that kind of stuff. I think he could make a magnificent Magneto. I think he's got that voice because whoever you get to play Magneto, there's not one voice to do it, but there's a kind of voice, a voice that has power and authority. Dare I say a regalness to it, if you will. But, and I'm going to bring this one up a lot in today's conversation, he said it's a character is going to be teased and then a series. I don't think they Disney Plus Magneto. I really don't. And so while I think it's a great fit, I'm going on the same level as Charles. I'm going to say a C. I'm going to rank the Magneto one as a C. Rob, what about you?
I'm gonna go A.
Really?
And I'll tell you something. I think this is how they bring the mutants into the MCU. And what they're gonna do is they're gonna tease Magneto. He's gonna show up full Magneto regalia. And the series is going to be how he became Magneto. Because I was thinking about this. In X-Men 1, back in 2000, you open with Magneto's story as a kid being torn away from his mother. In X-Men First Class, they revisit that and you get Magneto's story, like when he goes to South America and takes out those dudes, which is awesome. And you see what Fassbender did. And I'm like, and then all the way through, even in Apocalypse, you see Magneto's story. You know, why does he become one of the acolytes of Apocalypse, you know? And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, if they casted Giancarlo Esposito and you did a series, how did he become, like, maybe he was he was part of the Rwandan genocide or whatever.
See, I think the Rwandan genocide, because remember, like in 2024, you can't really have Magneto as
too old.
As a German camp survivor anymore. It's too old. You can't do it now. But the essence of that whole thing of him coming out of the concentration camps was that Magneto, at a younger age, had to bear the brunt of and witness the absolute worst in humanity. A Rwandan genocide kind of fits that bill. So that's why I think that would be a nice backstory.
And
for him.
he could have been a teenager that watched his whole family get slaughtered. I mean, what happened in that Rwandan genocide with 150,000 rapes and how many people were murdered? It's like horrific, and it's more immediate than, say, the Holocaust was. But I think we're going to see that whole story. How does a man like Magneto get forged? You know, his life, and because we saw these different things in the movies, and I'm like, that's interesting. And if they expanded the through line like we saw in Magneto, you could with Giancarlo Esposito, by the time you get to him, and the first time you see him teased in the full-on Magneto regalia, and it's him, that would be awesome. I don't know what they would.
So you're thinking that would fit the bill of tease him first by putting him in a movie, and then showing him in the movie, and then giving us the backstory for him in a series.
And because that's
not bad.
That could be an epic. I mean, I'm not gonna say as good as maybe Shogun, but it could be if it was really well written, and a guy like Giancarlo Esposito, knowing you're leading up to him, and you show like the first 2 episodes deal with his youth, and then the other 8 show his rise to power. You could also show the whole mutant. It would be awesome. Maybe that's just because in my own mind.
The other thing, whenever I think about casting Magneto, I know I bring this up all the time, but I lament, and I love that we had McKellen. I'm so glad we have Ian McKellen's Magneto. He's a GOAT. That being said, I always kind of lament that we never had a Rutger Hauer Magneto. I always thought Rutger Hauer was kind of born to play Magneto. You know what I mean?
But when you watch him in The Boys, he's got that Magneto energy.
He absolutely
like he stands up to Homelander.
Yeah.
You know, you're
He's
a
not
product.
impressed.
Not impressed.
You are bad product.
Did you see he on social media he recreated his character bugging out from Do the Right Thing?
No.
And they kind of played it riff. Did you see
didn't
that?
see that.
It was awesome. The fact that he does stuff I love him. I love Giancarlo.
All right, anyway, we got to get back to the thing here.
Sorry.
So I said C. You saying A. Jonathan, what about you?
I'm gonna bump him to a C, but I just don't think he's playing a mutant.
Okay, so you don't think he's playing a mutant at all?
No.
All right, so you're gonna go C. Ray?
I'm gonna go E. I'm not saying that he can't play him, but I didn't he say that it's gonna be our first introduction to this character?
Okay. Well, we said we're going to be introduced, and then we're getting a series.
Like you've never seen this character in the MCU, something like
Right.
that. In his
Well, we haven't.
interview?
But we haven't seen Magneto in the MCU.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah. So, okay, so we have an A, two C's,
I'm gonna go E anyways.
and an E. So that puts Magneto in C.
By the way, if he's being teased, he's in Deadpool and Wolverine.
I mean, that's
'Cause
been
where else are
kind
you
of
getting
the...
teased? I mean,
What? Yeah, he's not going to be in Captain America: Brave New World, or maybe he is, because that
All
would
right.
be interesting.
Let's keep going here now. So the next one up that they propose is Giancarlo Esposito would be a great Norman Osborn. This is going to be my 1A on this list. Because now, I understand there is recency bias here because we saw the way he plays his character in The Boys, there's a very Norman Osborn thing to that. The way he plays his character in The Gentleman, there's a Norman Osbornism to it. And maybe it's a little typecast for Giancarlo Esposito. I admit that. But out of all the names on the list, to me, this is the premium name that I totally think he would destroy, which is a Norman Osborn. So I'm going to go A for Norman Osborn on this. What about you?
I'm also going to go with you on A, and I'll tell you what I want to see. I want to see them do the Dark Avengers and do Siege when they attack Asgard, the Earthbound
it makes
Asgard.
sense because it's on Earth now.
Yeah. And if Norman Osborn leading, wearing armor, Stark Tech
Iron
after the
Patriot.
Iron War. Yeah, I mean, I would love to see them do that.
And we don't have any Avengers on the lunchbox right now, so it's perfect time to
so
step
it's good
in.
time. Something like that, yeah.
the Avengers Dark. I mean, after what this is just me because I love
Yeah.
the Siege storyline in the comics, and man, Norman Osborn, bring that on.
Okay, so we got 2 A's for Norman Osborn. Ray, what about you? Giancarlo Esposito's Norman Osborn.
I'll go C.
Go up to C on that one.
Yeah.
Okay, Jonathan?
I'm going B.
You're
'Cause
going
I
to
think
go
it's very
B.
likely.
Okay, so we're going to put in a high B, Norman Osborn. All right, in the B position. I got to get the fonts the right size, same size. Okay, so with Norman Osborn out of the way, we go down to, did I just miss him? Bolivar Trask,
Who?
which is a name that I've seen some fans kind of bring up and all that kind of stuff. I just don't see it. They've already focused on the character in a movie once. By the way, in Days of Future Past, and he was great. But I don't really see them. Bolivar Trask isn't a character you tease. He's not important enough of a character that you tease the character and then do a season. I'm not going to say E, but I'm going to put this one as a D. What about you?
Yeah, I'm going to go D. I don't see it either.
Okay.
I don't think he's kind of a lesser character. I mean, I think Giancarlo Esposito has earned more gravitas than Trask.
All right, Jonathan?
Yeah, I'm gonna go E. I don't think he's gonna be a mutant. I think if anything, he'd be a foil to the mutants. But
Well, he's not Bolivar Trask's not a mutant.
no,
he's
I'm
the
saying
enemy
a
of the-
foil to the
A foil,
mutants.
right.
But I still am going E on this one.
Gonna go E, Ray?
I'm going the same.
You're gonna go E?
Yeah.
All right, we'll drop him down to E then. Trask goes down into E as I still continue to work to get the font size right because I didn't do that before the show started because I'm dumb. All right, that was Bolivar Trask. How many have we done now? We've done 1, 2, 3, 4. I must have missed a couple of characters. Oh
Looks
no,
like someone's a lock. They're up in A.
let's see. The Beyonder
All right.
is the next one we've
Yeah.
got. All right. If the MCU was going to continue down a spiraling out of control, every character they have is way OP and like really kind of out there, sure. But number one, I don't see them using the Beyonder. Number two, I definitely don't see a Disney Plus TV series about the Beyonder. I just don't see Giancarlo Esposito fitting the Beyonder. So this is going to be my first E on this. I'm going to put Beyonder at E, right? Or Rob, what about you?
Totally.
You're going to go E?
The only person that I could ever see making the Beyonder work would be James Gunn, and he's no longer at Marvel.
Yeah, James Gunn could do something pretty cool with the
would
character.
do
You're right.
something with the
Something
Beyonder.
wacky about it. Jonathan, what
I
about
think,
you?
I think Beyonder needs to be played by someone who's younger because they're
Yeah, I don't think he's a fit.
because they're not going to be aging. They're you know.
No.
So I need a letter.
Oh, E.
E, Ray?
Same.
All right, we've got our first unanimous thing. Sorry, Beyonder, you suck. No, he doesn't. Beyonder is down in the E category. All right, next up. Zurus, the Eternal.
Yeah.
Coming in there. All right. I'm going to go with something you just said, Rob. If this was James Gunn running this is a character I could see him bringing in. But they've already changed in the movie universe what the Eternals are.
Yeah.
I don't see there being a role for Zurus in that. Plus, the Eternals, as much as I liked it, and I know you really liked the film.
I did.
I don't see them. I see them using Eternals more. I don't see them expanding the Eternals thing. So I'm going to make this another E for Zurus. What about you?
Definitely E. I don't see it at all.
Definitely an E, Jonathan?
I'll go D.
You're going to go on D, Ray?
I'm at an E too.
All right, so down in E, we got, from their suggestions, Zurus. Zur-ass. All right. Next up, we move down to, we got Secret Wars coming. Molecule Man.
We'll talk about OP.
Talking about OP. For those of you who don't know what we're referring, we say OP. That means overpowered.
Yeah.
You want to talk about OP. Like, it's difficult to even do a story with them at all. And here's the thing. Do you make a Disney Plus series about somebody like Molecule Man? Again, listen, there's nothing saying the MCU can't take a character they haven't used before and downgrade their power a lot. Like I think they're going to do with Sentry. I don't think we're going to see Sentry at the power level that we see him in the comics, you know, being the final boss against Hulk in World War Hulk. I don't think we're going to do that. So maybe they downplay him, but there's some, listen, because of the character, I think there's some interesting narrative you could do, and maybe they downplay. So I'm not going to say E, but I'm still going to say D. What about you, Rob?
I'm going to go E.
You're gonna go that way.
I just don't see. I don't see that Giancarlo Esposito would be used in this way. I don't think it would play to his strengths.
All right, Jonathan?
Yeah, man. I keep boohooing all these things, but E.
E, Ray?
I'm gonna go B.
Oh,
Really?
I like this character actually.
All right, so I guess that moves. So we got one D, two E's, and a B.
That's just my.
I guess that'll average it
That-
out to the D list, I guess. Okay, so we're going to put him in D.
I just set myself up to being the biggest idiot, but you know what? What's new?
Okay, so that moves him up to the D thing there. All right. After Molecule Man, we've got the Living Tribunal.
that could be interesting.
Yeah, let's put God in the series.
Yeah.
This is going to be my second E. What do you do with that character? And then how do you give that character a series? Like that, I'm just going to say no. It
It's
shouldn't even
hard
be
to
on the
even
list.
quantify the powerless of like the tribunal, and then who's the one that's like he was in the last Thor movie?
Yeah.
Gore?
No, but like
no.
all of existence, not eternal.
Oh, where they go at
Yeah. It's not.
it's a common word, and I can't remember. Eternity?
Eternity.
Eternity.
It's like
yeah.
how do you quantify Eternity's power or the Living Tribune's power?
Tribunal,
like
yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to go E. You're going to say
Yeah. E.
E, Jonathan?
E.
Ray?
E.
Okay, I thought for sure you were going to say A.
Because you got to give an actor something
for
a
sure?
part to play.
Just kidding.
You know, he's got to have a great part. He's a great actor, and everyone, you know.
Okay, Living Tribunal goes down on the E cast. All right, we get into the next one here. Replacing Jonathan Majors as Kang. Now, Jonathan Majors, take the controversy, put all that just aside for a second. I'm not saying ignore it. I'm just saying for the sake of this conversation, put that aside. Jonathan Majors is a tremendous actor. And whoever you get to replace him as Kang, from all the reports we've heard, they're still going to have Kang in the series. So they're going to have to recast it. You got to get a powerhouse actor. Giancarlo Esposito can be that actor. The one reason that I'm going to put this as low as a D, not an E, but I'm going to make it a D, is because pursuant to what Ray mentioned a little bit earlier, at one point Giancarlo Esposito kind of teased that the character he's going to be playing is one you haven't seen in the MCU yet. So maybe he means that as in haven't really seen him in the MCU yet. So I'm not going to go E because it's a logical thing, right? You need a powerhouse player to replace Jonathan Majors. Giancarlo Esposito can be that guy. Big, menacing, voice, booming, all that kind of stuff. But I just, because of what he said before, I got to put it down as a D. What about you?
I'll go C because I'd like to hold on to the idea that there's I would love to see him as a Kang variant. If he came back as a Kang variant, King Kang or whatever, I don't know.
King Kang.
I would be for that.
All right.
Yeah.
So you're going to go C.
Yeah.
I was A because I've been assuming this whole time it's A. However, based on his comments, it could also be a misdirect, but that seems like a weird misdirect. So it was C, but maybe I'm going D. Man, I'm going negative on all these.
Okay.
But
By the way, our viewer Aries Pork it just came up with the greatest name. If it is Kang and he is getting his own series, came up with the perfect name for the series, Kang Bang. That's the name of the series. The Kang series called Kang Bang. I like that.
Gus Kang.
Gus Kang. What about you, Ray?
I go E.
You're gonna go E. All right.
No doubt, he could play that role. Like, woo. But I gotta go.
All right. So I'm gonna say that averages out to putting him in the D list. All right. Last one that they mentioned. It's the one everybody's talking about. Doctor Doom. Look, for years now, one of the MCU fans' biggest thing to speculate and talk about is who's going to play Doom. And, with all due respect to all the great casting announcements for Fantastic Four, the one everybody's still sitting on, because he's at least going to make a small appearance, either as Doom or as Victor Von Doom or whatever, is who's going to play Doom. Giancarlo Esposito would be magnificent. He would. He's got, again, much like Magneto, you got to have that booming, authoritative presence of power. Giancarlo Esposito carries that maybe better than anybody else in the business right now. You need somebody, you got to expect that Doom is going to be a major player in the MCU, so you want the best actor possible to play to really give it that weight and that gravitas. Giancarlo Esposito is the guy to do it. I am hung up, though, on the whole series comment. Do I see them Disney Plusing Doom? Maybe. And the reason I'll say maybe is because whereas, the MCU on Disney Plus has been looked at as kind of a place to get going with your B-level characters, WandaVision notwithstanding, and then move from there. They're only going to be limiting Disney Plus series to 2 a year, and they said they're going to be using them more kind of as standalone stories. But Rob, you made a really good point earlier about Magneto. Okay, that you make Magneto a movie character, you bring him in the movies, but then you tell his story on Disney Plus's background. So it kind of becomes like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like an additional thing to the book, an appendix, if you will.
Yeah.
To the book, and so I will go as high as a B. I won't say A, but I'll go so high as a B because it's a pretty big, major heavyweight character. So anyway, Rob, what do you think about Doom?
For the same reasons that you just described that I went with Magneto, I'm going to go A on this as well. Because Fantastic Four is being made and it's egregious that we don't know who's playing Doctor Doom or what Doctor Doom's, or even if there is a Doctor Doom. They need a heavyweight villain in the Marvel Universe. After Thanos is gone, the Marvel Universe, they keep bringing up these characters and dispensing with them. We need an ongoing, and especially after X-Men 97 with Magneto, I think that Victor Von Doom is a perfect casting here. And again, same thing. You tease him, you introduce him in a movie, then you give us his entire backstory. Because that doesn't interfere.
Without needing the movies to tell his backstory.
That's right.
Right.
And the backstory has not just him in it, but it has younger actors or whatever, and you get to see his evolution, his development. And then you get back to Giancarlo Esposito as the character in the movies.
So what letter are you ascribing this?
A.
You're going to go A, Jonathan?
oh man, I'm so torn on this. I'm gonna go B. I just feel like it's the series thing. I do think there's a likelihood that you would do it with Doom over Osborn, because Osborn is only going to link to the Spider-Man's like franchise. He's not going to be and then you have to deal with Sony. He's not linking to the Avengers or the Fantastic Four, who will eventually link to the Avengers. So I think Doom has a better shot at it than Osborn. But I'm still going to say B.
All right, B. Ray?
I'm gonna go B as well.
All right, so you had 1A, 3 Bs, so Doom ends up on the B, which leaves us with nobody in the A column. We didn't put anybody in the A column. In B, we got Norman Osborn and Doom. In C, we got Magneto. In D, we got Professor X, Molecular Man, and Kang. And all the way down in E, we got Trask, Beyonder, Zurus, and the Living Tribunal. All right. Let's throw out some of other names that maybe Seabear didn't address. I want to propose one. It's going to be massaging the lore a little bit on the character, but we've never seen this character really done on screen before, at least live action. X-Men 97 is the hotness right now, and I've been reading this character and liking this character in the comics for most of my life. I want to propose that he could be playing the X-Men character Forge. I want to throw out Forge as an idea. Now, again, you'd have to massage a couple things, but now, and then do you do a Forge series? I don't know. That's why I'm not going to say A. I'm not going to say A on this, but I want to throw out Forge as a thought. What do you think about Forge, Rob?
I think he's too old, only because
that's why I'd say you'd have to massage it a little
because
bit.
I've
but
always
yeah,
loved
I
the
agree.
Forge relationship that he has with Storm. But you know what, though? If they decided to go a little different way with Forge, I could see that. I'm going to go C on that.
Okay, you'll do a C. Jonathan,
I'm going to go D.
you're going to go D on it. Ray,
I can't. I don't know enough.
you don't
about
know
it.
Forge enough. Yeah, I get that.
I'm not gonna.
I also don't know that you do a series on Forge.
So we had a B, a C, and a D. So we'll put Forge down in the C. Anybody else got any other characters you want to put forward or mention? Remember, it doesn't have to be an X character. Right. It's nobody said it was going to be an X character. It can be somebody else.
I just gotta say, if you listed all the possible villains, he could play. I think 90% of them. He's just that
sure.
good.
Yeah.
That's why I don't. I could throw out any name out there, but I won't put my heart into it because there's so many that he could play. I don't have any in my head right now.
Now, King Daddy Goat in the live chat is throwing out a name. Apocalypse. Now, that would work in the same model, Rob, that you were describing for Magneto. You could have Apocalypse in the series and then tell his evolution, if you will, from En Sabah Nur to becoming Apocalypse in a series and then pick up with him in the movies after that. That's, again, powerful, booming voice. I mean, Apocalypse would probably be CGI.
I've got another one to throw out if we're talking X-Men characters.
Well, okay, hold on to that one for a
I
second.
just want to say, I would like him to play someone with not a lot of things on his face, because when Gus Fring,
You want to play something where you see him.
because with Gus Fring looks like he's angry and like those dead eyes and just his like non-happy face, that's terrifying to me. I would like him to be playing someone where we see his face a lot more and not underneath some makeup or.
I'll call Apocalypse, though, a C. I like the idea of villain character, but like he would have to be CGI'd a bit.
Yeah, I'll go with a C just based on the character, but yeah, he's gonna have a ton of makeup if he played that guy.
All right, I'm gonna put Apocalypse in the C. What's the other name you have?
Mr. Sinister.
Yeah, that's one a lot of people have been bringing up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's my favorite X-Men villain. I mean, I don't consider Magneto necessarily a villain. He's
What's
an
his first name?
antagonist.
Nathaniel
Essex. Yeah. And you know, but it might look strange to have a black actor in whiteface. That could be a little weird.
But a white actor that
yeah,
Mr.
same
Sinister does not look Caucasian.
No.
He doesn't look.
Just,
he could be anything.
I mean, what Ray was saying about makeup, because I love Giancarlo Esposito's face. I love him as Moff Gideon. I loved him as Gus Fring. I love seeing his face.
Yeah.
So I don't.
But you could do it in such a way that half the time he walks around looking normal human.
Yeah,
right?
or so he doesn't have. You can just have him in his face. It's. I don't think that the white or whatever he can. It's the outfit. It's and his gravitas. I think he could be an awesome Mr. Sinister because Mr. Sinister can be older.
I'll give that one an A.
Anything. You're going to give Sinister an A. I'm going to give Sinister a B. Jonathan, what about you?
Yeah, B.
You can go B.
Yeah.
He'd be great as Mr. Sinister.
Yeah, he would.
All right, we got 2 A's and 2 B's. I feel like to put somebody in an A, you need at least 3 A's. So I'm going to put him in B for now, but Mr. Sinister's a really good one too. Anyway, there's a lot of different names out there, and maybe it's going to end up being one we haven't talked about.
Let me ask you something. We're skewing into the villainy realm.
Right.
Is there a hero he could be?
Oh, we didn't even think about that, but
It's okay. So it's.
I know. I'm just thinking villain.
So
I'm just throwing that out there.
I know because listen, here are the names we put up there: Norman Osborn, Doom, Mr. Sinister, Magneto. To me, is a hero, but I mean, depending on how you do him.
Antagonist.
Apocalypse, Molecule Man, Kane, Trask, Beyonder, Zurus, the Living Tribunal. But we have put out there Professor X, and we have discussed Forge.
That's true.
I don't know of many other hero characters in the Marvel universe at large. I mean, some people say Blue Marvel. I think he's a little bit old to play Blue Marvel.
let him marinate for a
Plus,
little
he's
bit.
just such a good villain.
He's such a good villain.
like,
Such a good villain. Just love him.
I mean, yeah. So I don't know. Anyway, guys, question is for. Oh, you know what? Pause that.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
crap.
Kane Legion just threw out a really good name. Ray's gonna like this one. You know what?
The Void?
I'm actually loving this name.
The Void?
I don't see him getting his own series, but I love this name. Whistler. Whistler.
Oh.
Now, of course, that would plop him in Blade,
Which will never get made.
which may never get made.
So we won't ever see this character. So Kane Legion, no.
But I kind of like
Look.
him as a Whistler.
But to use him for that role, man.
But you make the role then Meteor. You give the role.
Oh, you give it more.
You give him
gravitas.
more weight.
Mm.
He could be an awesome
Yeah,
Whistler.
he could. He could be an awesome anything, probably.
Yeah.
But you know what?
I like that one. Anyway, okay. Now, for sure, guys. With that said, question is for you. What do you think about this? There are a lot of people out there, including some outlets, throwing out these names and whatever. Do you have a name that you think would rank high? Do you have a name that we have ranked low that you think should be ranked higher? Do you have some other names out there? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Crawling out of the pandemic, there are a few movies that kind of started dropping in theaters, and one of those earlier films that came out was Bob Odenkirk's Nobody, a movie that kind of came out of nowhere and surprised a lot of people, and put Bob Odenkirk as the center as an action hero, which everybody loved him coming out of Breaking Bad, and then onwards with Better Call Saul and everything. But I mean, I don't think anybody saw him as an action hero. And then along comes Nobody, kills it, Riz is in it. Christopher, why am I forgetting Doc Brown's last name?
Lloyd.
Christopher Lloyd in it, playing his dad, is great. I mean, it's a wonderful, fun little movie that, by the way, with a few little tweaks, you could easily say is in the universe of John Wick. A few little tweaks have to do that. Everybody loved it. And then there was talk about them doing another one. Back in 2022, as a matter of fact, they said there was going to be a sequel. They said, oh, we've greenlit a sequel. That was 2 years ago. And we've heard nothing. And so some people, including me, to be honest, has kind of assumed that the project was scrapped. Well, it's moving forward. And we now have a production start date. It's official. This comes to us from Screen Rant, who wrote the following. Bob Odenkirk's upcoming Nobody 2 has received an encouraging filming update 4 years after the release of the original, confirming when the production of the movie is going to start. The 2021 original starred Odenkirk as Hutch Mansell, a seemingly regular father and office worker who uses his secret skills as a government assassin to thwart a Russian mob he conflicts with. The movie was critically praised for its action and lead performances, with the upcoming Nobody 2 confirmed in 2022. And now they're saying it's going to start shooting on January 6th in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, home of the Forks, baby.
I've been there.
You have been there. Gorgeous city, love the place, and it's moving forward. All right, 2 things I got to point out. Number 1, love this. Love this. I had such a great time with Nobody. It's not as good as John Wick, but again, it fits right into that universe if they wanted to do it, and it has that style and that tone, and I just had a blast with it, particularly when he's lighting all the money on, he's destroying all the money and everything. I love the conversations between him and the mob boss are so great. I buy Bob Odenkirk in this role, and it ends clearly with an opening to go and do more. The one reason, though, that if I was an executive, I may not greenlight this movie, even though I'm so excited for it. Here's the reality. Now, before you bring this up, Jonathan, don't bring it up yet. And Jonathan, you're excluded because you can see my graphic. But how much money did Nobody make at the movie theater?
Actually, I can't actually see it. I only
Okay,
see
you want to take a guess at it?
10 million.
$10 million. Rob.
80.
Rob's going $80 million. Ray.
16.
Rob I think is the closest.
Oh.
Worldwide, Nobody made.
I was thinking domestic. Sorry.
Oh, I was
But-
thinking just per ticket, $16 per ticket.
Oh, that's I was thinking 16. So you can bring it up now.
right.
Nobody worldwide made a grand total of $57 million. Now, to balance that out a little bit, you keep in mind it was one of the early films to come back from the pandemic. And it only had a $16 million budget.
See, that's what I said. 16.
16. Oh, that, yeah, you thought I asked you about what was the budget of the movie.
Yeah, I was right on.
I mean, still not a great result, but people loved it. And their hypothesis is that, yeah, the first one didn't do great at the box office, but everybody seemed to love it. So if we make another one, keep the budget, I think they'll probably bump the budget a little bit, but still probably keep it under 25. We say make the budget $21 million. We believe this can be a $100 million film. And you know what? I agree with them. I think if you can make this thing for dirt cheap, and let's be honest here, Bob Odenkirk's price tag has probably gone up a bit. But aside from that, you keep this thing real dirt cheap, I think this is a movie that can make money. And regardless, I'm just excited for it. Rob, you heard about this. What are your thoughts?
I think you're right. I think that this movie probably made a few shekels, a couple of $1 million profit. I don't know how much, but probably was profitable, and it's probably had all kinds of crazy play on streaming platforms. So they're looking at it going, we can put this in theaters. It's a theatrically viable movie, and it's going to do extraordinarily well once we get it onto ancillary markets, streaming, VOD, whatever. So I think that this is exactly the kind of thing that people should be making. I think it's a no-brainer. I think it's 100%. And like you said, it's going to gross $100 million in the theaters because it's like Terminator 1. Everybody saw it on TV. People have watched this. Better Call Saul. I can't imagine this is going to be anything but a slam dunk.
Yeah, and listen, it got more popular after its theatrical run. Bob Odenkirk's profile has just raised up higher. The thing was really beloved. I really do believe it can make $100 million.
I agree.
I mean, it's not a $400 million movie.
No.
And then the question becomes, do they do what a lot of fans speculate, and do they tie it into the John Wick universe? I don't even know if they're two different studios. I can't remember if this is Lionsgate behind this one or not. But I mean, you had some of the players involved with John Wick make this movie.
Yep.
So maybe they tie that in a little bit more to increase the marketing cachet. Again, I think the movie ended up being more popular after its theatrical run. Bob Odenkirk's profile has increased, and it hasn't been too long since it. So I think it can do it. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think? Did you even see Nobody? Because clearly not a lot of people did, but did you see it? If so, did you like it? Do you like the idea of doing a sequel? Can a sequel be successful? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Yes, right.
It was Universal behind Nobody.
I was Universal
just to add
behind
that,
it.
just,
Okay,
just for
so
context.
they'd have to work something out if they were going to do it. All right. With that down, guys, let's move on to this, shall we? Moana 2. They showed us a little sizzle preview of Moana 2 at CinemaCon. Looked really good, although it didn't really give away much, didn't show much. The movie was still pretty far off, coming out in, I believe, December. You can correct me if I'm wrong about that. I think it's coming in December. But a lot of people got very excited. I love Moana.
It's great.
I love this movie. And they dropped the first official trailer today for Moana 2. It's the first trailer, so they don't give much away. They don't tell us much. But a couple of key points. Number one, they've aged Moana up. So they're showing in the movie world, years have passed since her adventures in Moana. Probably the same amount of years as to pass in real time. Maybe not as many, but she's clearly aged up a bit. Number two, and I thought this was one of the funniest things. Watching the main movie, a question that a lot of fans asked was always, she brought the chicken, why didn't she bring the pig? That was always a lot of conversation I've seen, and people thought, like, one of the big questions was always, why didn't she bring the pig when she brought the other funny animal and all that kind of stuff? And then in this trailer, they addressed that very question, that big fan thing, by having Maui, the Rock, come out and say, why didn't you bring this guy the last time? Which is kind of the thing that everybody was always asked. So they're addressing it, putting it out there, making fun of it. I thought that was a great thing to do. I thought that was really funny for the hardcore Moana fans. I think this thing looks wonderful. I mean, all they really do is show some quick images and then give us the idea what the general plot is. The ancestors want us to reconnect with our other people around the ocean. So clearly this adventure is going to be about going out, try to find the other tribe, right? That's an old adage in the movies, finding the rest of your tribe, whether it's Battlestar Galactica or whatever. We've seen this done before, but I kind of like it as a trope. And listen, if there's any of you out there who wonder why they're making this movie and whether or not it can be good, I need to remind you, for those of you who have heard before and for those of you who haven't heard this before, 7 years after it being in theaters, 7 years after it being in theaters, the number one streaming movie was Moana. Take a look at this. Moana, by a fairly significant margin, was the number one streamed movie in America in 2023, a 7-year-old movie with 11.6 billion minutes viewed. Second was another Disney Plus thing, Encanto. Third, Super Mario Brothers. So ahead of Super Mario Brothers. Next, Elemental, Minions: The Rise of Gru, Sing 2, Disney, down Black Panther Forever. Want to point out, 5, 6, the top 7 are all animated films. A buddy of mine actually sent me a list today of the top Netflix streamed movies in 2023 globally. Every single one was an animated film. Every single one was an animated film. Tell me how Netflix's main target isn't children. Nothing wrong with that, by the way.
No,
children and families. They want the children and the families market. But anyway, back to this. Moana, number one streamed movie, a 7-year-old film, and by a hefty margin, number one. We've been having conversations about which films this year, when it's much harder today than it was 3 or 4 years ago to join the $1 billion club. We only had 2 of them do it last year, right? In Mario Brothers and Barbie. Which ones can do it this year? Obviously, we think Deadpool is one of them. I think Despicable Me 4 has got to be considered a possibility. I think Inside Out 2 has got to be considered a possibility. I think Joker has a shot because the first one did. I don't know if the second one will, but it's got a shot. I think other than Deadpool, the number one most likely film to hit $1 billion is Despicable Me. And then after that, I think it's Moana 2. It's just so wildly popular. It's so wonderful. It's coming at the right time of year to make a lot of money. And anyway, the trailer to me was a really good first trailer.
It's a teaser.
It's a teaser. It's a really good first trailer, getting everybody excited again. Anyway, Rob, you had a chance to take a look for this. What did you think about the teaser? Where's your anticipation level for this right now?
Well, first of all, I think Moana is a delightful movie. It does not surprise me that it is the number one streamer, because not only is it good for kids, but we as adults, even ourselves, like it. And it's great comfort food. And it's just an entertaining, fun. It just puts a smile on your face. This teaser trailer, put a smile on my face. I thought it looked great. It's beautiful. Love the animation. Love that shot in particular that was in the trailer.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
And what's not to love? And then you get that burning question answered. So it seems to me like they know what they're doing. Disney is definitely deep into the Moana business. They're making the live action version. This one has to be good too. So to me, it looked like whatever they're doing with the plot, what a delightful follow-up. I see nothing but smooth sailing across the ocean for this movie. Huh? There you go.
All right, guys, question is for you. Did you have a chance to check out the Moana trailer? I thought it was delightful, really. Again, it's just a first trailer, so I wasn't expecting a whole lot out of it, but I liked what I saw. How good do you think it can be? How big do you think it can be? Maybe you're not looking forward to it at all. Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, with that down, it's time for us to get on to the most important part of our show, which is hearing from you guys, taking your comments and questions. But before we do, we're going to take a quick second and thank another sponsor of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at The Perfect Gene. Hey guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, The Perfect Gene. Guys, are you tired of the rough and rigid jeans crushing your boys? Well, today's sponsor, The Perfect Gene, finally solved all of your denim difficulties. They make great looking, perfect fitting jeans that are as comfortable as sweatpants. The secret? A special denim fabric that is super soft and has the perfect amount of stretch so you can squat, do yoga, or just sit around all day without ever having to take them off. I'm going to admit I was a little bit skeptical because to me, jeans have always been jeans. They're practical, but not always the most comfortable. But I'm telling you guys, it's not an exaggeration. Once I put on these jeans, the Perfect Gene redefined what jeans can be to me. They're the perfect fit, they stretch, they breathe, and again, they're just insanely comfortable. So guys, it's finally time to stop crushing your balls in uncomfortable jeans by going to theperfectgene.nyc/Campea15. Our listeners get 15% off your first order plus free shipping, free returns and free exchanges when you use code Campea15 at checkout. Again, that's 15% off for new customers at theperfectgene.nyc/Campea15 and use the code Campea15. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support the John Campea Show and tell them we sent you. And thank you to our friends at The Perfect Gene for giving me the jeans that I'm wearing right now and for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with all that down, let's get into the important stuff. Taking your live comments and questions. Jonathan, what we got up first?
Sholo says, I'm worried for the theaters because 2024 hasn't had many blockbusters bringing in the dough. Can the theaters survive without them? No MCU, can't depend on Sony, one DC rated R movie, no Nolan movies. Is it me or is it looking grim?
One of the things that we talked about yesterday was the fact that you have to understand is that 2024 was hobbled and crippled by the fact that there was a writer's strike that really, and we talked about it like 6 months ago about how it was going to affect 2024. There were like week stretches when no major releases were coming out in theaters, all that kind of stuff. So I like 2024 is an outliner. Now, where I'm going to be really interested is how do some of these films that we are targeting to be very, very big films, how do they perform, right? Like, yeah, I mean, everybody's talking about the disappointment of Furiosa, but the reality is that the last movie was not a big movie. Fury Road was a movie that didn't even make as much as Black Adam did. You know, didn't even hit the $400 million mark. So, but we've got some movies coming out that are expected to be huge. And will they be huge? Inside Out 2, Deadpool, Joker, Despicable Me, Moana 2, there are a few others that were now. So I'm going to be really curious to see how those perform. Then when we get back to quote unquote normal, when we're going to have a normal flow of films, a normal pipeline in 2025, we'll see how that goes, provided IATSE doesn't go on strike. that could really screw everything up too. All right, what's next?
We got Anonymous who says, I think Giancarlo is going to play Blade because by the time the movie comes out, they'll need an older actor.
Well, yeah, but then Giancarlo Esposito will be retired by the time I think Blade comes out. So I'm telling you, why is everybody poo-pooing my idea? Just bringing back Sticky Fingers. I don't know why everybody's against that. All right, what's next?
Mr. Old Blue Eye says, I'm not saying that they should have been, and I'm glad that they weren't, but if Toby and Andrew were in the marketing for No Way Home, how much more money do you think it would have made at the box office?
I'm not going to say a night and day difference, but definitely a difference. Here's the key, though.
Like after the movie came out opening weekend, everybody knew. I mean, literally, there were reports in trades a year before the movie came out that Andrew and Toby were going to be in it. There was literal footage of Andrew Garfield shooting a scene that was out before the movie came out. And then there was those pictures that I put out that like everybody knew already they were going to be in it. So that's why I'm saying I don't know that it's be that big of a difference. Plus, after the opening weekend, if there were still some people that didn't know, they knew after the opening weekend. So I think it would have made a bigger difference in opening weekend than overall. But yes, a difference. I think it would have made a difference if they did. All right, what's next?
We got Stubble McShave, who says, I rewatched Lonesome Dove. I love Lonesome Dove. With Robert Duvall, Tommy Lee Jones, Danny Glover, Diane Lane. So good. Even though it wasn't a theatrical feature, it must be in my top 5 Western properties. Have you seen it, and what are your thoughts on it?
Well, it's been forever since, listen, it's been forever since I saw it. I remember liking it. I mean, it's a killer cast and all that kind of stuff. Do you remember the film?
Dude, I loved it. And not only did I love it, Stubble, I went and read the book afterwards, like with Shogun. The book is unbelievable.
So good.
Unbelievable. But the miniseries is great too.
All right, what's next?
Dildar says, oh no, we read that one already. It mixed these up a little bit. Read that one. Okay. This one. Amin, top 5 biggest OW since the pandemic.
No idea what OW means.
Yeah, No Way Home, 260 million. Multiverse of
probably
Madness,
means opening weekend. Okay.
187. Wakanda Forever, 181. Barbie, 162. Mario Brothers, 146. I think we both agree Deadpool and Wolverine will crack the top 5, but do you think it can crack the top 3? I don't.
Well, the top 3 is the third place Wakanda Forever.
Yes,
181?
181.
No, I don't believe it can. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible. I mean, like, I'm definitely not saying it's impossible. I think it will be 150. But the fact that it is an R-rated film,
That's right.
will, I think, it'll be huge, but it'll cap the hugeness of it. I still see it being a $1 billion film. I still think it can make 150, but I don't see it cracking top 3. Rob?
I totally agree. The R rating is going to hobble it in terms of its opening weekend, if you want to call it that. It's still going to be maybe the biggest R-rated opening ever.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I think you could bump Barbie for the number 4 spot.
But again, it has to be good.
Well, opening weekend, I don't think it has to be good. Will affect opening weekend.
For opening weekend, but in terms of getting $1 billion.
Yeah, getting $1 billion, totally necessary. It's got to be really good. If it's not really good, I don't think it makes $1 billion. All right, what's next?
Twilight Boy. Twilight Boy. One of my hot takes, Fassbender is a superior Magneto to McKellen. Yep, that's blasphemy to some, but he had a bit more of humanity to his portrayal to me, as well as a bit more charisma. McKellen had a more villainous presence, though. Both are great.
Well, I mean, the reason that is because when we meet McKellen, he's already gone down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? McKellen's been down the road. With Fassbender, we got to see him play the character in a time in his life where he's forming that. So we get to see a little bit more duality, all that kind of stuff. Listen, I don't think it's sacrilege to prefer Michael Fassbender over McKellen in the role because he was fantastic in the role. He's fantastic. I still go McKellen. We're the future, Charles, not them. That's Magneto right there. That statement alone. But, I mean, Fassbender was so good. I got no problem with somebody who preferred him.
No, it's great. And you know what's wild, if you think about it? We saw McKellen as Magneto a year before we saw him as Gandalf.
That's crazy to think about.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
It's wild because he played Magneto all the way up through like Days of Future Past. So he was only Gandalf, and then of course he was Gandalf in The Hobbit too. But I mean, it's like that if you had any doubts about him playing Gandalf, seeing him as Magneto back then, because they were that open, because it's that open after the Auschwitz scene when you meet Charles Xavier and Magneto at the beginning of that movie. And where he says that same thing, are you in my head? That scene is so good when Jean Grey is giving the speech. Man, I love that.
Oh, so good. It's so good. All right, what's next?
Malik says, "Hey John, have that Bad Boys for Life, or that given that Bad Boys for Life made 426 million in the box office, do you think the new one could touch 500?" I don't know, man.
Look, what I've learned doing some various videos about Will Smith and things like that is there are still a lot of people who are not over the Will Smith slap. And in our own comments section, I've been very surprised by how, like, look, my position on the Will Smith stuff is what he did was beyond fucking idiotic. And there needed to be repercussions. And there were repercussions.
There were.
He has paid a serious price for that unbelievably idiotic thing he did. It has cost him tens of millions of dollars. It has cost him looking like a fool and being humiliated in front of the whole world. It has cost him a number of projects that he lost. He has paid a heavy, heavy price.
And it will never go away.
And it'll never
It's
go away.
down in history.
And he deserved it. But my personal point of view is he's paid the price.
Yeah.
It's time to let him get on with his career and start entertaining the world again. Now, when we talked about it on the show before, I was honestly kind of surprised how many people wrote in and still said, no, I am never going to watch another Will Smith thing again. And I don't blame you for that. I'm just saying that's not the position I take. I'm ready for Will Smith to get back to it and start entertaining us in the way that only Will Smith can. I think he paid a price. But because of that, because I've been surprised how many people are still not over the Will Smith thing, I think it can be a hit. I think Bad Boys, they're projecting you can make like 50 million opening weekend. I think it can be a hit. Out of curiosity, Ray, what did Bad Boys for Life make opening weekend? I want to give me that and the worldwide number, but sure. Because of that, I think it can be a hit, but I don't see it making 500 million. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't see it making 500 million. What do you think, Rob?
It depends how good it is. I mean, maybe not 500 million, but by all accounts, it's a good movie. See, here's the thing, John, too. How long in our modern day are we going to pillory people for mistakes they've made? This was the most public...
Depends on the mistake.
Well, yes, of course. But this was a moment of anger. By all accounts, Will Smith is not normally like this.
That's a key thing.
Like you said, yeah, he's paid the price. And we watch it in the most humiliating way possible. And both Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock have just wrecked him in the comedy space. And when do we ever embrace forgiveness? I think Will Smith, he had this one terrible, horrible moment that I can't even imagine having that on record for the rest of human, as long as there's human life on this planet, that slap will be somewhere available to watch.
Oh, yeah.
It's 62 million opening, 426 worldwide. Let me add to that real quick. Let's not forget what happened the week after when Dave Chappelle almost got attacked and stuff like that. It was like one of those things
at the Hollywood Bowl.
That affected a lot of people. Yeah. Like, I mean, I told you guys before, Will Smith, I idolized Will Smith when he was doing Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, when he turned his jacket around. I actually went to school with my jacket turned around and I got ragged on it so bad. But you know what? That's how much he influenced me. It was disappointing to see. I hope he could recover from this completely. Yeah. I agree. He should.
I think it'll be a hit. I think it'll be a hit, but I don't think it makes 500 million.
Yeah.
And hopefully I'm wrong.
But if it's really good, it might.
Yeah, hopefully. I hope
for the theater's sake, I hope it does.
Yeah, me too. I hope it does.
All right, what's next?
Boss Baby says, the worst part about 30-plus minutes for ads when going to the cinema here in Australia is that most of the ads aren't movie-related. We see only 2 movie trailers, 3 ads for the cinema I already am sitting in, life insurance, Amazon, and a restaurant 2 hours away. Yeah, you know, I noticed that like in Europe, they run like TV ads.
Yeah,
they do in Canada too. At least they did 15 years ago when I was still living there. But even movie trailers, they are commercials. Movie trailers are commercials. Make no mistake about it. And I like movie trailers. I made a whole documentary about movie trailers. But you know, we had Gray Drake is in my documentary, and she made it a great observation about. Her. Oh, I love Gray Drake. She's fabulous. She makes a great observation in it. She goes, "Here's the thing, trailers are kind of like mini movies, and trailers themselves take you on an emotional thing. They take you from play, they peak up, then they close." And she goes, when you have 10 trailers in a movie, you are taken on this thing that it kind of becomes mentally exhausting by the time you get to the end. And listen, I don't know how many times I've got onto trailer 7 and then thought, wait, what movie am I here to watch again? And then I had to remember, right? Like, and the thing is, you know,
the head of Paramount actually made a great observation at CinemaCon a couple of years ago. He goes, here's the problem. When he was telling theater owners, guys, play less trailers. Because by the time you get to trailer 8, people forgot the trailer they watched 3 minutes ago. They don't remember trailers 1, 2, and 3. So you're actually limiting the effectiveness of trailers by throwing so many at people at once. Anyway, yeah, lots of reasons, and I won't go on my full diatribe again. All right, what's next?
All right. Anonymous says, not sure if you're a Beach Boy fans. I actually watched that Beach Boys documentary on Disney Plus. It was really good.
I heard it was great.
Yeah, fan, but I was re-listening to their album Pet Sounds. Someone or somehow never noticed before, but got a huge James Bond vibe from the title track. Turns out it was originally titled Run James Run and written to be used in a Bond movie.
Wow.
Obviously, there's a number of Beach Boys songs that I've listened to my whole life. I would not necessarily call myself a big Beach Boys fan. What was the name of the one that John, the star of Hot Tub Time Machine,
Cusack?
John Cusack, and the guy who just played Riddler.
Where they both played Wilson.
What's
Brian
Paul's
Wilson.
last name again? Just played Riddler.
Yeah, now of course.
Dano.
Yeah, Paul Dano.
So what was the name of that movie?
I was thinking on TV.
That
Which
Beach
one?
Boys movie they did.
Oh,
Yeah. Well, I don't remember what it was called.
I remember it was really good.
Yeah.
But I cannot remember.
Love
the
and
name.
Mercy.
Love and Mercy.
It was really good.
Yeah, that was a great movie. Anyway, all right, what's next?
All right, we got Wes Maurer who says, "Hey guys, just did a rewatch of Avengers: Age of Ultron. Is it me or did they go with a different score for this one? And would you maybe Rob happen to know why? Thanks guys, have a good one." What do you mean
movie
by a
has its
different
own
score?
Yeah.
Like it didn't have the
Yeah, but-
Avengers theme because it does have the Avengers theme.
Yeah. I mean, a different. I don't know who.
maybe he means it's different from the rest of the other Avengers movies.
Different feel. I think it was Paul Giacchino who did the score though.
Michael.
Giacchino.
Michael,
Giacchino.
Paul G. Yeah, Michael.
Because
Giamatti?
yeah.
what's his
Well,
name? Did the first one?
Silvestri did-
Yeah,
did,
Silvestri did the
Endgame.
original one.
Yeah.
I think he also did didn't Silvestri also compose the actual bum 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 bum?
Yeah, I
bum,
think he
bum,
did.
bum. I think he did. Could be wrong about that. By the way, that is a movie. Age of Ultron is one that every time I watch it, I think to myself, this is better than I remember.
Every time.
You're the same.
I think, you know what? It's funny. I think I like Age of Ultron better than the original Avengers. Now, the original Avengers is great. I love it, but there's something about Age of Ultron, just how it opens up with that attack on the base in the snow, when you see that long single shot and everything. There's just so much in it that I like. The party at Avengers Tower.
I love that scene.
I mean, there's just so much stuff in that movie that I like, and it's the way it's tied into the greater MCU has given that movie more gravitas.
And plus, what
And
we're getting now, we
Yeah.
appreciate that more.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
when we see the kind
Yeah.
of mediocrity we've been getting now, it's like, we didn't realize how good we had it with Age of Ultron.
Plus, I love Ultron. Bring Ultron
My
back.
main
Have him
issue.
kick some
my main
bootay.
issue. It was just too he made it too quippy. That was my only issue. Like I agree with all that, and I actually argue for that. It linked so much to the
Yeah.
future, we didn't realize it, but it was just too quippy all the time.
I can see that.
But also, it was Brian Tyler and Danny Elfman was the composers of Age of Ultron.
All right, what's
That's
next?
interesting.
Yeah. Frost, my number one underappreciated film, Hardcore Henry. $2 million budget, $16 million gross. Masterclass of a low budget filmmaking up there with District 9. What are your thoughts? We had those guys into the AMC
We
studio.
did.
Yeah.
We had them in. They came in the studio, did
Wasn't
it.
that first person?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was. With the guy from District 9, Copley?
Sharto.
Yeah, Charlito Copley.
I really, really good. You know what? Another movie that came out afterwards that was clearly influenced by Hardcore Henry was Upgrade.
Yes.
That was another one that was like low budget.
Lee Winnell.
super action.
Lee Winnell's movie.
Oh, I forgot Lee Winnell
Yeah.
did that one. That's right.
Upgrade's good.
Yeah,
Upgrade
and
is good.
clearly influenced by Hardcore
Totally.
Henry, I think, as well. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good one. All right, what's next?
Okay, we got Louis Tong, who says the Coen brothers are my favorite filmmakers, and Burn After Reading is my favorite movie of theirs. What are your
Wow.
thoughts on Burn After Reading, if you've seen it, and what is your favorite movie from the Coen brothers?
I like Burn After
I do.
Reading.
Too. I own it on Blu-ray.
Not one of my top 2 or 3 favorite of theirs.
No.
Brad Pitt is hilarious
Hilarious.
in that one. I think my most underrated Coen Brothers movie, and boy, I'm pretty sure it was a Coen Brothers movie, but was the one with Tom Hanks, Lady Killers. A lot of
That's
people,
a remake. It was
A
good.
lot of people dislike that
We
movie.
must have waffles forthwith.
Forthwith. Waffles, my good lady. Waffles forthwith. J.K. Simmons. With irritable bowel syndrome. I really love that movie, and a lot of people didn't. I think that's their most underrated one.
You know, they've made so many great films, but a movie that they made that I dearly love is Miller's Crossing.
Not a lot of people bring that up.
No, and I love the cast is so good. What's the rumpus? It's so good.
Is that the-
Ethics.
Mine's gonna be Oh Brother.
Oh, okay.
Which one?
Oh Brother.
I am a
It's
man
great.
of constant sorrow. I love that movie.
I mean, I love their first film, Blood Simple. I'll tell you a funny story.
Raising Arizona.
So I saw Blood Simple and I loved it. And my parents and their friends were going to see a movie. They're like, what movie should we go see? And I go, Mom, the Coen brothers. They're these new filmmaking brothers. You got to go see Blood Simple. That was what? That movie came out 35 years ago, 40 years ago?
Yeah.
My parents' friends were convinced I hated my parents, and that's why I sent them to that movie. And I'm like, it was awesome. And my mom hated the blood, and her friends hated it. And to this day, 84 maybe, for 40 years, my mother has been bringing up the fact that she thinks there's a part of me that hates her because I made them go see the Coen brothers' first movie, Blood Simple.
All
That's
right.
a true
What's
story.
next?
The Dumb of All Fears says, I always thought Apple was great at marketing in the 2000s, but in the last 10 years, I think it's fair to say their marketing is not as dynamic as it once was. I feel like the factors into why Apple TV marketing is lacking.
Well, Apple TV is a totally different division and
Yeah.
a totally different thing than the Apple that markets Apple products. Those are two completely different marketing arms. And I, for one, think the marketing that they do in Apple TV Plus is actually quite good.
That Wolf's trailer is great.
Is that an Apple thing?
Yeah.
That's Apple TV.
I did not even realize
But
that.
I think it's getting a theatrical release.
It is.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Apple's committed like $2 billion a year to theatrical releases.
Yeah,
and stuff
I mean,
like that,
what
so-
a way to come out of the gate, man.
Yeah. And I don't think Wolf's is going to be a huge blockbuster hit, but I
Yeah.
think it's going to be a nice little feather in their cap.
By the way, we talked about yesterday with the not Glass Onion, but Knives Out. How long is this third one going to be in theaters for? Do we even know?
We don't even know that it's going to be in theaters.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I mean, I'm guessing it will, but we don't even know for sure. Like Kane Legion is pointing out, Samsung keeps ragging on Apple when it comes to phones. Here's the thing about Samsung, though. And by the way,
Apple
I don't
don't
have it
need
on
to
me.
market anymore.
My daily driver, I still to this day, I've owned this phone.
You have
longer-
a daily driver phone?
Yeah, it's the Apple 13 Pro Max.
Okay.
All right, and I know they're on the 15 now, but my phone has not lacked anything that I needed to do. So I have an iPad right here. I am right now working on a Mac Studio Max. I have a lot of Apple stuff, and my phone is an Apple phone. Android is infinitely better. I think Samsung phones, Samsung makes a lot of mediocre stuff, but their high-end flagship stuff, better phones. I prefer Android. I prefer it, blah, blah, blah. But Samsung historically always comes out and makes fun of something Apple's doing. Oh, Apple's doing this. Well, we'll give you that. And then 6 months later, Samsung will do the exact same thing. Couple of examples. When they took a headphone jack, when Apple took the headphone jack off the phone, Samsung made an ad mocking them. And you can do this with our phone. And close up of somebody plugging in headphones. Their very next phone didn't have a headphone jack. Oh, Apple's not giving you a power brick in your phone thing. Ah, look how losers they are. Very next Samsung Ultra phone did not have a power brick in. So they'll constantly rag on Apple for something and then do exactly what Apple did in the next thing.
Yeah.
And I say that as a fan of the Galaxy Ultra. I mean, my first phone that I loved owning was the Galaxy Note.
Yeah, I have a Note 20 still. It's what I use.
Mine was like the
My Note
Galaxy
20.
Note 6 or something. I mean, it had the S Pen in it. It was the biggest phone you could get at the time, which I loved. That was the first phone I ever owned that I truly like. Yeah, I have a phone and I use it, but that phone I loved. Loved that phone. And I would love to use the Ultra 24 too. But anyway, sorry, we spent too much time on that. What's next?
James UK with a two-parter says, hi, John and crew. Hope you're well. I've seen Furiosa twice now, and it's fantastic. I haven't seen any of the old Mad Max films. Get on that. Although this film is so good, Chris Hemsworth kills it. Anya Taylor-Joy was fabulous. Can't wait to watch Fury Road. I'm shocked that not many people have seen Furiosa. This film is for the cinema. If anyone hasn't seen it, go watch it. I'm seeing it Friday. It's awesome. Also, my top 5 films for this year are Abigail, Fall Guy, Planet of the Apes, Dune, and Furiosa.
Dang.
At number 1. Wow.
I feel the same way about Furiosa, and what we have in common is we haven't seen any of the Mad Max films, so I could see where this
Yeah,
viewer is
again,
coming from.
we shouldn't be all that surprised that it didn't do great because Fury Road did not do great. And you can't really, I don't know, you're going to find people that are interested in it that weren't interested in that. So we shouldn't really be all surprised. I don't think Furiosa is anywhere near as good as Dune 2. Dune 2, I still think is the best film made in the last 10 years. But I love Furiosa. And I can't wait to go back and watch it again. All right, what's next?
All right, well, along the same lines here, Arkwright says, hi, John. Saw Furiosa 2 times this weekend. Must say I rate it better than Fury Road. Gonna stick to my neck out and say if Hemsworth doesn't get a Best Actor nod for Dementis, then there's no justice. Not saying he'd win, but this was perfect. Was outstanding in my opinion. Love the show.
Okay, first of all, thank you so much for that. And yeah, I love Furiosa. I think it's great. I don't know that I put it above Fury Road, but I respect, that you do. I loved Chris Hemsworth in this movie. I really do. Love him as Dementis. That being said, the role does not give him enough range to warrant, again, not Chris Hemsworth's fault. It's just the way the character was written. And he's written perfectly for this movie. But the character does not have enough range or dynamic, I'll call it dynamic range to use a visual cue. The character itself doesn't have enough dynamic range to justify a Best Picture nominee or a Best Actor or Supporting Actor nomination. So I loved him in it. He's great, but I don't think it warrants a Oscar nomination. All right, what's next?
We got Benji, the Husky, who says, Rob, as a fellow home theater enthusiast who values high fidelity uncompressed audio, the Dune 2 4K Blu-ray is a masterpiece. The Atmos mix is phenomenal. My entire house was shaking from my subs. This is why 4K Blu-ray is king for the best audio quality.
Oh, you're not wrong. I would dare say that Dune 2, and Blade Runner 2049 have 3 of the greatest sound mixes of all time. And that translates to home theater. I was playing my Dune 2 4K disc just yesterday, calibrating my speakers. And it is unbelievable. Unbelievable.
I've got a Sonos sound system set up in my living room. And when we put on Dune 2, it wasn't even the 4K Blu-ray. It was the Max stream. We popped up the 4K Max stream, and that just the opening where you hear the alien language saying control over spices, control over all.
Stardew car.
As soon as that voice came on, the window shook. I mean, it's such a great sound mix in that movie. It's so good.
Unbelievable. I don't even know how they did that. It doesn't even sound like it's recorded. It sounds like those dudes are in your house.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
All right,
Maybe
what's next?
they are. Amin says, I'm worried about Moana 2. The original directors are not involved. The writer-director for this one is a Disney storyboard artist that has never written or directed anything. Lin-Manuel is not involved with the music. And the poster trailer confirms the release date and reaffirms to me that they appear to not have much faith in the film, with it releasing on the same day as Wicked. What do you think?
I'd say if you're releasing it on the same day as Wicked, you have infinite belief in the film. They 100% have belief in this film.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you don't release it in the Christmas season. You release it in March, or you release it somewhere like that. I have no worries about this. I have no worries about it at all. I mean, look, can Moana 2 suck? Absolutely it does. But, the guy who directed Star Wars didn't direct The Empire Strikes Back. And the guy who directed Empire Strikes Back didn't direct Return of the Jedi. I'd say those worked out okay. Now you can make the argument, but George Lucas was still involved. Absolutely. But I'm just saying you don't need the exact same team there in order to do something that's a great follow-up. Many of the great franchises we've had prove that. So I'm not really worried about that. But yeah, them releasing it when they're releasing it is not a sign of a lack of confidence. It's a supreme sign of confidence. Whether or not that confidence is justified, we'll find out. But I don't personally worry about it. All right, what's next?
Kevin Frazier says, "Hey John, I recently ran into this Jenny Nicholson video here on YouTube where she talks about her experience at Disney's.
we've spoken ad nauseum about it on the show.
Was
We've
very
talked about it
interested to
many
see
times.
how she expressed many of the misgivings you've had with Disney over the years. Have you seen it? Do you have any thoughts? I think studios should take note of channels like yours and Jenny's. People find others who entertain them so much that they eagerly give their time and money in support of a channel or show. Thanks to you and the team."
Yeah, her 4-hour video on the deconstruction of the Star Wars hotel experience is fantastic.
Unbelievable.
Absolutely fan. But I think Jenny has been I've had a very, very high opinion of Jenny for years and years and years. We even invited her to be on we were at a Star Wars Celebration in Florida, and we had this big featured Star Wars trivia battle. And we invited Jenny to be a part of that. She was awesome to be involved with. I've been an admirer of Jenny's for a very, very long time. I even tried to hire her once. Like she was, I mean, she was outside of our price range. I love Jenny. I think she's great. That thing is great. Studios do watch. I mean, listen, I get contacted all the time, and I've shown you guys the emails. I get contacted all the time. I won't say the name of the studio, but like, I got emailed from somebody we know at one of the studios and said, yeah, we had one of our monthly meetings and the chair of the company mentioned your video directly. And one of the things that you guys were saying in your video, it's like, so we know they do pay attention to this type of stuff. I don't honestly think they should pay attention to what we say on this show or any other YouTube channel, because we're fucking nobodies. You're the ones who know what you're doing, but still, they do. And listen, to be fair, when Jenny made that video, Disney already knew all that. That's why they had already closed the hotel down.
Right.
Sure.
And they had already shut it down, right? So they weren't learning anything from Jenny's video. I think it's just I think that video is just a great, what's the best way? It's a great meditation.
Or retrospect.
Yeah, retrospect meditation on what happened and what went wrong, and how that is kind of queued up for us with fan experience.
I want to object to something you just said, though.
All right.
About yourself. You are not a nobody because you've been covering the entertainment business now for the better part of 2 decades. You've seen trends come and go. You've seen movies come and go. You've seen studio heads come and go. So you have a certain earned expertise on the industry. So when people tune in and watch your show, you're not a nobody. You're somebody that's been a pundit and you've learned and grown. And it is certainly, if you had a PhD in movies, you would have only been in college for 8 years. But you've been doing this for a lot longer. So there are people, I think, that tune into the channel because, whether they believe rightly or wrongly, you do have a certain expertise.
I think I do in the way that fans do, right? I am a fellow fan, right? I am.
Me too.
And that's why, listen, there's a reason I am sitting in my garage right now doing a YouTube video, right?
By choice, man.
By choice. But still, I think that when I say I am a nobody, I don't mean, like some people say, John, you should believe you have self-worth. Oh, I do believe I have a very healthy idea in self-worth and all that kind of stuff. But I'm also very realistic. You know, I'm a nobody. I don't have 10 million people watching my videos every day. You know, I don't have that kind of influence. I'm perfectly happy. I love what I do. I'm comfortable with who I am. I love my life. But I'm also very realistic about my place on the pole. Let's just say. Let's just call it that. All right. What's next?
And Galkin says, "Hello, my favorite team. I just received my Madam Web 4K Steelbook. I'm
Nice.
Sure they were
First of
happy.
all, why?
Sure they were happy to send that one out.
Bravo.
I haven't seen the new movie yet because I wanted to marvel at its glory in my home theater. Is this a mistake? Yes. Rob, did you get your copy yet? No.
I did not, and I won't.
You will. You will.
No. You know, I'll tell you.
I can't even imagine they would have put money into creating a steelbook for this.
I got the 3 steelbooks I got in the last week: The Departed, The Crow, and Dune 2, and I'm very happy. And no, I did not get the new Star Trek 3: The Search for Spock steelbook, nor will I be, because I already have Star Trek 3.
If you are going to watch Madam Web, you might as well watch it right. So have fun, man.
The
Have
steelbook's
fun.
not bad, though.
All right, what's next?
We got Kevin, who says, "Oops, now listening to your episode from 529 and you are addressing the Jenny topic. Apologies for a duplicate."
Oh, no problem. Always
was a
good to
follow-up.
bring it up again anyway. Always fun. Always fun. All right, what's next?
Okay. Murray Reich says, aside from most probably Deadpool 3, do you think there will be other movies that have a strong shot at 100 million domestic opening for this year?
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot.
Moana,
Wicked, probably.
probably Wicked. You know, it still shocks me to see how many people are sleeping on Wicked.
But the play was so huge, so I just don't.
You don't get. Listen, not everybody's made for everyone. Not everything is made for everyone. But, like, you got to understand, my wife is pretty representative of a pretty big demographic. All right. And when they were playing us the Wicked stuff at CinemaCon, not sniffles, my wife was in tears. Like, and she represents a fairly large demographic in the average movie-going community. Wicked is going to be huge.
Also,
It's going to be very big. I'm not saying it's going to be a $1.5 billion film. I'm just telling you it's going to be big.
well, I think our niche are not musical fans of musicals, so they're not necessarily aware of what Wicked could wind up being. That's same with Greatest Showman.
Yeah.
You know, so I think you're absolutely right. I think there's going to be a huge response to Wicked.
Yeah.
Plus, it looks incredible. The first when I went to CinemaCon the year before.
And they showed us that stuff. It looks so good.
Oh my God.
And I'm not a fan of the musical, but this look good. So I'd say there are 3 movies that have a decent shot of hitting 100 million opening weekend. I think it's Moana. I think it's Deadpool. And I think it's Despicable Me 4. I think those are the 3 films that have a shot. Mufasa, maybe. Depends. Because the first one was a massive hit. So maybe Mufasa. But I don't think Joker makes 100 million opening weekend. I think it can be $1 billion film, but I don't think it makes 100 million opening weekend. So I really think the 3 solid ones are Moana, Despicable Me 4, and Deadpool. Maybe none of them, maybe all 3, maybe a few more, but those are the 3 I see. What about you?
Yeah, I would say that. I mean, I just don't know. I don't have the whole release schedule out in front of me, but that sounds pretty, pretty much what we'd be looking at. Are there other movies coming out around the holidays that we're missing? I just don't know.
All right, what's next?
We got The World of Tim Morrow says, hey, crew, if people like Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton, and Cecil B. DeMille came back to life, what's something you think would truly blow their minds about modern filmmaking? Probably the amount of different races involved. Which modern film would you show them and that would really wow them? And that's not to say that they would be against it, but they would be, astounded by that.
If we're talking about modern filmmaking, honestly, it's not the CG. A lot of people think are going to jump to CGI, which clearly would make them think it was witchcraft.
Yeah, I mean, Cecil B. DeMille would love it, though.
Yeah, I mean, like if Cecil B. DeMille or any of these guys saw Thanos, they would, their brains would just explode in their heads.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think the first thing that would really kill them are cameras today.
Oh, yeah.
This isn't a phone. It's just an iPad. I got something I'm holding in my hand that shoots 50 times better quality video than a thing they had to carry around on a truck in order to shoot with film and everything, let alone the phone you have, digital camera. I think digital filmmaking is the thing that would instantly blow them away.
Yeah, when you could see the images that you just shot immediately.
Yeah. Anyway, but a lot, definitely a lot. All right, what's next?
Let's see. Did I just do this one? Yes. So Matan says, so far, e.g. Numa is MIA regarding the making of Zelda movie. As I can never remember how to pronounce this, but E.G. is the Feige of the Zelda series. It could be a point of caution. Not that Miyamoto needs restraints from giving bad ideas, like being light on story.
I don't think the people making the video game. I know this is an unpopular opinion. What do they know about making movies? Nothing. They know nothing about making movies. So I really don't care. And honestly, half the time when you hear so-and-so is involved, it's probably pretty light that they're involved. Look, all I know is that you got a director for the Zelda thing who just did an amazing job with Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. And that kind of world building or whatever, I don't honestly, listen, I enjoy the Zelda game. I've got the Zelda games on my Switch. I play the Zelda Breath of the Wild and all that kind of stuff. I love the games.
I don't give two shits about whether the creator of the games or person behind the games has anything to do with the movie. I really don't. If they are, cool. If they're not, I don't think that does anything, because what the hell do they know about making movies? So I'm perfectly fine with it. I'm perfectly fine, because the stories have already been told. Right? They can get, and by the way, they know how to tell stories in a video game medium that we already know. That does not necessarily translate into narrative storytelling.
But I will say this: Druckmann, for instance, was a great addition to The Last of Us.
I was going to bring that up about Last of Us 2. That is a great example.
And he wrote and directed episodes.
Yep.
And I think, but I think that in terms of The Legend of Zelda, I think it's different than Last of Us, because the dramatic component's different.
Yeah, I want to see people who know how to make movies do it. So again, if they had said he was involved, I would have said, cool.
Yeah.
It's not at all concerning to me that somebody who makes video games is not involved in the making of the movie. It just honestly isn't. All right, what's next?
We got Amanda, who writes, and I'm just saying that phonetically the way they wrote it. Hey guys, I just finished my university exams in economics. Oh, wow. I once did what was called back then a suicide course of macroeconomics. It was a semester compressed into 1 month.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was tough. Then I did micro, but so quite tired, I can understand, but happy. I wanted to ask you if you've seen the movie Into the Wild with Emile Hirsch, directed by Sean Penn. Love that movie.
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
It was really
a
good.
nice little film. I never did go back and watch it a second time or anything like that, but yeah, and listen, Sean Penn's actually a really good director.
I really like Emile Hirsch, too.
Yeah.
He also had a really interesting career.
Was he not Speed Racer?
Yeah,
Yes, he was.
Yeah, I didn't like Speed Racer.
Oh, dude, come on.
But I do like Emile Hirsch.
You know what Emile Hirsch is in with Brian Cox? It's one of the great scary movies of all time. Is The Autopsy of Jane Doe.
Oh my God, where it happens all in the building, and that
movie is a banger.
I forgot that was Emile Hirsch in that with Brian Cox. I totally forgot that was him.
It's a banger.
Yeah, it's a good one. All right, what's next?
We got Hydro Pump, who says the trailer gods have blessed us with kinds of kindness. Moana 2 Wolves and The Bear season 3. I thought all look great. Can't wait for them. I don't even want to see the Bear season 3 trailer unless I have to for the show.
Yeah, it looks great. I love the Bear so much. I'm not excited about Kinds of Kindness.
I didn't see the new trailer. I saw a clip from it because it was a can or something. But
Yeah, I mean, I certainly didn't really like the first one, but it was just a quick teaser, but I got nothing out of that. And listen, the last movie they made together was a banger. So, okay, like, what was it called? Poor Things.
Poor Things. Yeah.
I loved it, so I'll give it that, but I wish I could say I was excited for it. But yeah, we've got a lot of good trailers, man. We've got a lot of good trailers. All right, what's next?
We got Hydro Pump again, who says, I watched Kiyoshi Kurosawa's 97 film Cure last night.
God, I love that
Then
movie.
proceeded not to sleep the rest of the night. What a complex, haunting, thought-provoking film, and the catalyst for Japanese horror for the late 90s, 2000s. Have you guys seen it?
Oh, I own it. I own 2 versions of Cure, and his next movie, Pulse, which they remade in America with Kristen Bell. Don't ever watch the remake. Not that Kristen Bell's not delightful. She is. Pulse is one of my favorite. Both of those movies are 2 of my favorite modern horror films. Cure is amazing, and Pulse is totally disturbing. I saw Pulse and Amelie at the Sitges Film Festival as a double feature. That put the zap on my head. Let me tell you.
Amelie is so great.
I hope you
good.
finished with Amelie, because that's the
I did finish with Amelie, but man, I was blown away. But Kurosawa was an amazing, different than Akira.
Yeah, different Kurosawa.
Kyushi Kurosawa is his name, but Cure is a great movie.
All right,
Great
what's next?
We got Raymond, who says, wow, Knives Out 3 casting gets better and better. Announced yesterday was Andrew Scott. Today, it's Kerry Washington.
Oh, I didn't hear that one.
We missed that. Maybe wait till tomorrow when we get another big celebrity cast.
Yeah, I think, like, remember I said when they first announced that over the coming weeks, I think we're going to get all the casting, and it's all coming out. I like what I've heard so far. Kerry Washington. I didn't see that news yet. That's a great get.
Yeah, great.
I love
her.
Kerry Washington.
I do
So,
too.
yeah, I love the Knives Out films. All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, hey, John and crew, can any of you think of a movie that you really liked but were simultaneously disappointed by it? For me, I thought Challengers was an excellent movie, but I forgot to check my expectation luggage at the door and was mildly let down. So you thought it was good, but not as great, I guess.
I mean, listen, but there's a difference, right? Like, a movie being great, but not quite as great as I thought it would be, does not leave me disappointed. Like, for me, a movie has to be significantly lower than what I was expecting it to be disappointed.
it can still be a movie that I liked and quite
Yeah.
enjoyed. There have been a couple just last year that I thought, you know what, I liked it, but it wasn't anywhere near as good. So not many, to be honest with you, off the top. I thought Challengers was really great. I wasn't expecting a Best Picture nominee film out
No.
of Challengers. I was just expecting it to be really quite good.
That
It was really
movie's
quite
done quite well. It's closing in on $100 million
Yes, it is.
growth. That's
Yep.
crazy.
good. Yep. And now,
You go, Zendaya.
yep. All right.
Mine was a Multiverse of Madness. Sorry, I hate to.
So you still really like the movie, but just saying it wasn't anywhere near
I just thought it would be
much
a lot
better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
yeah.
a lot of people felt that way about it.
Yeah.
All right. What's next?
That's kind of like what I'm afraid of Deadpool, but a 3. Brian O'Connor says, I don't feel like Kevin Feige cares to make the Blade film work. Especially
okay.
with
Stop. That is a dumb thing to say.
Yeah, Brian.
That is a dumb thing to
Just
say.
kidding.
I don't think Kevin Feige cares if this. Let's just look. The movie might be garbage. It might be terrible. It might not even ever happen. But if Kevin Feige didn't care if this movie worked, he would have taken whatever pieces of shit they had lying around and slapped it together and thrown it out in theaters already. Or he would just axe the project. He would just axe it. That is. I can.
I mean,
just
we're talking. Nobody doesn't care if they lose millions of dollars.
Yeah, no. So that just put that thought away right now. Just put that away right now.
He cared enough to actually take a small part out of Comic-Con to wear the Blade hat.
Yeah, I mean, make it.
Introduce
Yeah.
Mahershala.
Anyway, let's see what the rest of the message is.
All right, Brian, you're on probation here.
You're on-
You're in the crosshairs now, Brian.
Yeah. Especially within the MCU, he didn't have any plans for Blade until Mahershala Ali called him personally after winning his second Oscar. No way Kevin could have said no to Mahershala on the phone.
Two things. That is a myth. That is a myth.
Yeah. There's
All right.
no way an actor goes to someone like Kevin Feige and says,
Number two, you completely misunderstand, to use a rockism, the hierarchy of power in Hollywood.
yeah, this ain't DC.
Kevin is 50 times more powerful than Mahershala Ali. Make no mistake. Is it true that Mahershala? Yeah. But if you think Kevin Feige went, well, I wasn't going to do a Blade movie, but Mahershala wants to do one, so I'll just do it. Don't be naive. Don't be naive. That is not what went down. That's not how it happened. So yes. And Kevin Feige ain't going to commit $300 million in production and marketing costs of a movie. Well, Mahershala Ali asked me to. No. He
think
ain't
that's
going to
what-
make something and put it in his MCU unless he has a vision for it and unless he wants it. And the very fact that they've gone back and done rewrites of it so many times shows just how much he does care. Because if he didn't care, whatever, the script's done. Just make it and put it out. I mean, every demonstrable piece of evidence we have is the exact opposite of what your conclusion is. Again, the movie might end up being terrible, but believe me, Kevin Feige cares. He absolutely cares.
Yes, he does.
All right, what's next?
All right, Brian O'Connor's back. Says, if you could give one Oscar or an Emmy for best performance to anyone in the MCU, who would it be and for what project? If you could give one Oscar, okay. If you could give one Oscar or Emmy for best performance in any of the Snyderverse, who would it be and for what project? So MCU and then Snyderverse.
Ooh.
Who had the outstanding performance in the MCU?
All right. I'm going to say I would give it to Chris Hemsworth for Infinity War. His portrayal of Thor in that movie was the best he's done. It's not my favorite Thor movie. My favorite Thor movie is still Kenneth Branagh's Thor. But I mean, and just for that one scene where he's with Rocket and he's basically going all the miserable things that have happened in his life. It ends up in what if you're wrong? Then what else do I have to lose? That performance, I think that would be, to me, if there's going to be anything that got an Oscar nomination, it would be his performance in that. Anyway, Rob, what do you think?
God, that's a tough one.
Can I go first?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Rocket.
Yeah,
Guardians 3. No, I'm serious.
Pretty good.
I'm
Yeah,
serious.
but who? The voice actor or
Yeah,
We're not going to
whatever.
give somebody an Oscar for standing in a sound booth and just talking for 2
Yeah.
days.
This
Yeah.
is my world.
And you wanted to go
I
first?
We're
understand, yeah.
picking. That was the best performance that I've ever seen.
I might give it to Hiddleston.
Hiddleston's
You
great.
know,
That would be mine.
but in which one particular?
That's the thing. I don't know.
Well, he
I mean,
just says in the MCU, and I'd say for his overall
But
story arc.
for an Oscar nomination
Has to be
needs
one
to be
movie.
attached to a specific project.
but he also
right?
said Emmy, so I would give him an Emmy for Loki too.
I don't know. I think he was better in the movies than he was in the TV show.
yeah. His performance though, it's funny because all running together. I would just give him an honorary Oscar for all.
There you go, a lifetime achievement
Oh,
award.
that's cheating.
But in the DCEU, it's not really in the DCEU, but it's a DC movie and it's Zack Snyder. I would what's his face? Why am I Negan? Who's Negan? You know,
As the
Jeffrey.
as the comedian, I mean,
Yeah.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan as the comedian in Watchmen
That's not
As a
DCEU.
supporting.
as supporting actor.
Yeah,
'cause it
that's not
wasn't-
really Snyderverse though.
Yeah.
No, but it's still Zack Snyder.
Cheating and everything,
I
Rob.
honestly would,
DC.
I wouldn't give one to anybody in the Snyderverse. And I say this as somebody who liked all the Snyderverse films, but I just don't. I don't see one. I really
Ezra
don't.
Miller, because we all know he ain't like that.
All right, we need to keep going. What's
He's
next?
a good actor. Good Canadian Kid says, "Hey John, did you hear George R.R. Martin's recent statement that screenwriters shouldn't make changes from a film's source material because it almost always ends up worse? Curious to hear your thoughts and whether it's implicitly referencing Game of Thrones."
He's 100% factually wrong. Look at The Boys. The Boys is better than the comic series is. Days of Future Past, the movie, massive changes from the original source material. It's one of the greatest comic book films of all time. We've seen it over and over again. He is 100. Now, you can make changes and have it turn out worse. You can try to be, it's a good example of trying to stay as close as possible and it kind of ruined it. The Tom Hanks film, The Da Vinci Code. They tried to stay so close to the book that they didn't make compromises and changes, respecting the change of medium from a printed page to a screen, and it really hurt the film. So 100% George R.R. Martin is wrong. It can go bad, but it can also be a big improvement. Like even Last of Us, all the changes they made from the game to the show infinitely improved it. So yeah, no, George R.R. Martin is 1,000% wrong. I mean, it can turn out bad, but it can also turn out great.
Yeah.
I always say this, the number one job of a filmmaker or a TV show maker is not to be as true to the source material as possible. Your number one job is to make the best movie or show possible. And sometimes that means you got to make changes. And so that's my thought on that. All right, what's next?
Well, Neo tipped $20.
Thank you, man.
Says, "Hey John and company, with the video game curse seemingly lifted and studios hungry for IP, do you think there's any chance of a Baldur's Gate movie or series? By the way, did not comment for a while, but the return of Tip Link brought me back."
Again, because a lot of people can't send in something because they can't watch live. So thank you for that. Good to have you here. I don't see them doing a Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, I don't either.
And I think if for no other reason, Dungeons and Dragons flopped. And that you can make an argument about this, that, and the other thing, but the reality is the studio's just going to look and say, look, they did a Dungeons and Dragons movie, and Baldur's Gate is a Dungeons and Dragons game. And they say that movie was really good. And the people who saw it liked it. And still nobody went to go see it.
If they did do it though, series is the way to go with that property.
Probably a series. Yeah.
God, if I hit the down button, but I'm not on the Tip Link, it OBS cues the sound effects board.
You got to set a new hotkey for that.
I know. I'm going to have to remove those.
Yeah, so I don't see them doing it. It's my all-time favorite video game, but I don't see them doing it.
I like the way that played when I said it should be a series. Like everyone agreed with
Yeah,
me.
happy accident.
Ray Aura is correct.
All right, what's next?
All right.
We need
Five.
to move faster through
Yeah,
it.
well, this is the it for tips. So 5 strong. Hey, John and crew, I know you're not a fan of time travel movies, but do you believe a movie like Back to the Future can ever be done again? That's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, I don't like time travel in movies generally because it's the laziest of lazy things that a writer can use. That being said, there are exceptions, and there are time travel movies that I absolutely adore. The original Back to the Future is one of them. Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home, is another one of them. There are definitely times that, like, I may not like a certain ingredient, but there are dishes that it's used in that I do like. So what I mean? I don't know. It's hard to say, but there will always be time travel movies made, and there will always be mostly bad and some of them really good. So it really all depends. All right, we're already over 2 hours, but we didn't take any of our channel member questions yesterday. So let's take some channel member questions today.
Matt Black says, I just found the show about a year ago and I've been listening every day.
Oh, thank you, man.
Thank you for the countless hours of entertainment. I've always wondered where the term "Bring on the Filthy" came from and what the origins of the catchphrase are.
Okay, explained about 1,000 times on the show, but just quickly, we were talking about the upcoming movie at the time, 50 Shades of Grey. There was a discussion about whether it should be rated R or rated X. Or NC-17 today, because of the amount of stuff in it. And I said, no, you got to go rated R. You can't do X. And I said, it's not because I have a problem with the filthy. You know me. I love the filthy. Bring on the filthy. And ever since I said that, people started writing that as the tag on the message they sent in. And that was years and years and years and years ago. And that's where Bring on the Filthy came from.
Speaking of which, have you heard the controversy about the new Netflix series Super Sex? About
I've never even heard of the new series.
Okay, there's a new Netflix show. It's about Rocco Siffredi, who is a famous Italian porn star. And it's about his life. It's like a bio show of his life, but apparently it's incredibly explicit. Like borderline X-rated.
They've had some very explicit stuff on Netflix.
I mean,
Oh, yeah,
and
for
it's
sure.
called Super Sex, so you can watch it now.
All right, I'll tune in as soon as we're done the show.
Oh man, our viewership just dropped.
All right, what's
They
next?
went to run to Netflix.
Casino Royale with Cheese says, hey, John and crew, first time caller, long time listener. Just wanted to say that I appreciate all the hard work you and the crew do day in and day out.
Oh, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Always nice when somebody writes in just to be supportive. Thank you, man.
And then
All right, what's
Boy
next?
Braun says, hey, John, just watched Rock and Rolla again. Man, that film was amazing. Favorite Guy Ritchie movie for me.
I'm going to be honest with you. Lower on my Guy Ritchie totem pole. And I'm a huge Guy Ritchie guy. Obviously fantastic cast in the movie, and I like the movie. I do, but like when you compare it to other films he's done in that flavor, like Lock, Stock, Snatch, I don't think it holds up to those, but it's a nice little film. I do like it. All right, what's next?
Okay, Dwayne says, John Wolf's trailer looks really fun. I like how they use the concept of Wolf from Pulp Fiction to create this fun premise.
I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah, it's supposed to be that they're lone wolves, but
but it's
I also get that.
pluralizes it.
But
right?
he's also a fixer.
Fixers.
He's also
He was a fixer in Michael Clayton, too.
Who's the guy in Pulp Fiction who played the fixer? What's his
Harvey
name?
Keitel.
Harvey Keitel.
Mr.
Yeah,
Wolf,
so
Winston Wolf.
they're kind
Winston
of the
Wolf.
Harvey Keitel character. Yeah, absolutely. All right, what's next?
All right. Brock says, hello. In my experience, trailers usually are about 30 minutes, except the children movies like Garfield or Sonic. If they're early fan screenings, they're close to 15.
Yeah, but then I found out that's not what they do at all. Like sometimes, like with kids' films, you expect them to have shorter trailer times.
I've
You
seen it
got
go on.
Yeah, I've seen extra long trailer
Yeah,
sessions with
yeah.
kids' films too. So it's really random, unfortunately. All right, what's next?
Okay, Fan Gesture says, my biggest concern for Moana 2. Oh, no, we already did that one. Dominic says, I think the short theatrical window has conditioned a lot of audiences to just wait for streaming, catch movies that they're interested in. The high price everyone pays for all the services too makes them want to get their money's worth.
I think, again, streaming is not a problem. The problem is, and we've talked about this before, is the fact that studios are shooting themselves in the face by having these really short release windows. Doesn't matter if it's VHS, DVD, or Blu-ray. If you're telling everybody, hey, we got this movie out, but just so you know, it's probably going to be available on home viewing in about 3 weeks. You are disincentivizing people from going to the theater. The movie, nothing is going to hurt the movie theater business except the movie business. The movie business is going to commit suicide. Unintentional suicide, but suicide nonetheless. They're committing suicide.
Or seppuku if you're
Yeah,
Shogun
if you want to go by Shogun terms, but it's not even honorable. It's just stupidity.
Yeah.
That they're doing it, and they're fucking idiots, and they've got to change this. They're going to kill the whole industry. All right, what's next?
What's up, Shay says, with Mutant slowly coming into the MCU, what mutant property down the line would you like to see a Disney Plus series? I would like to see Brotherhood series or X-Force.
None. I want to see Zero as a series. I want to see movies. And I mean that wholeheartedly. Not to mention, I think Disney Plus is going to be very careful about how much they spend on their individual series moving forward. Like, we got some expensive ones coming up, but I think these are the last super expensive ones they're going to do since Bob Iger took back over. And like Ironheart was already well into production, all that kind of stuff. So I don't want to see a low budget X-Force. I want to see X-Force in the movies. So I know. All right, what's next?
Freddie Lane says, over under 30% we get a Hulk versus Wolverine in Deadpool 3.
0.
Yeah.
0%.
But I was thinking, if that is Patch, we could get the Gray Hulk like cameo in that.
Maybe. I'm not expecting to see Hulk in there.
Not
though.
that they fight though. So I know. Anyway,
I don't know, man. Seeing Wolverine take on Hulk.
But in what's the context?
I have
Patching
no-
What's the story?
Pat-
What's the
Grey Hulk are
purpose?
together.
What's the-
But yeah,
I'm
but,
not saying you can't do that in a movie at some
but
point.
it's, they might
But in
wind up.
Deadpool
in-
Wolverine?
but this is the only time they could put you and Hulk together.
Not at all. That's not true at all. There's a million different things you can do later on.
Oh, later on, yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, in terms of Hugh Jackman
Oh, in
facing
terms of
up
Hugh
against
Jackman?
the Hulk. I mean, that's such a famous thing to do.
But again, it's a 2-hour movie. And what are you going to do? Like, you are often going along on that. There needs to be narrative purpose to everything you're doing.
I mean, wouldn't it be funny though if like you had Ruffalo's Hulk and you had Wolverine going at each other, and then some portal opened and disappeared, and Deadpool could say, "I really would have liked to have seen you fight
That would just
him."
make people angry, I think.
It'd be hilarious.
That would make people angry if they did that. But I mean, look, when I love it, of course, I just don't see them doing it. All right, what's next?
Sir Malmston says House of the Dragon season 2 only 8 episodes, but first one is going to be 64 minutes. Can it meet season 1 expectations?
Doesn't that start soon?
Yeah,
This month or June? Yeah.
June.
Like, but in a couple weeks?
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Acolyte, House of the Dragon,
I still have
and
to
The
watch
Boys
the final
all
episode
start
of
playing
the
this
last
week.
season.
Can't
Or
wait.
this month, I mean. So, like, yeah. And yes, it absolutely can. Absolutely it can. All right, what's next?
All right. Daniel says, "Hey, John, I've always loved scary movies, but the thing is, I've never found movies that actually scared me. The only one I can think of is the movie Dead Silence, and only because I wasn't expecting the twist at the end. Any recommendations?"
The Descent.
Good one.
I mean, and I'm not just saying because it's my second favorite horror movie. That movie will have you squirming before the monsters ever show up.
Yeah. And Autopsy of Jane Doe that we mentioned
Autopsy of
earlier.
Jane Doe is pretty damn freaky.
It's
too.
good.
And you know what? The original Asian version of
The
The Grudge.
Yeah.
The original Asian version of The Grudge will freak you the hell out so much. All right, 2 more questions and we'll give it a day.
All right. Red One says, having watched him in the new movie with Anne Hathaway, the new He-Man will most assuredly be serving ravishing good looks in this adaptation. Loving all the updates we've gotten from this project.
Again, a good-looking royalty from Eternia, Prince Adam. I just have a hard time seeing him as He-Man. I still think they're going to go with 2 actors. No one's told me this. This is just a guess. So if it ends up being one to go, oh, Campea, you were wrong. You lied. No. I'm just saying I'm guessing. But I still guess they're going to do it 2 because I just don't see He-Man. I could see a good-looking Prince Adam. I don't see He-Man. But again, I trust Travis Knight. Let's see what he's got. All right, last question of the day. What's
King
next?
Daddy Goat says, "Hello, homies. I hope everyone's doing good. I've been watching True Detective season 3, and I love how Mahershala Ali is preparing for the Blade role by playing a 70-year-old version of himself, which is how he'll look when Blade releases. Anyway, I think he drops out, but that's just me. Thanks, bring all the filthy."
I am starting to believe he's going to drop out. I'm starting to believe it. No one's told me that. Again, just a guess. By the way, side note, True Detective season 4 doesn't get enough props. I really liked it. I thought it was really, really quite good. The ending was a little weird.
Yeah.
But other than that, it had me like, is it supernatural? Is it not supernatural? What's going on? And blah, blah, blah. I just thought it was really good. The performances were powerhouse and great. Nothing is still nothing has touched True Detective season 1.
No.
But I thought season
3
4
was better than 2.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I didn't mind 2. I thought actually 2 was pretty good. As a matter of fact.
I like
But
the cast.
yeah, the cast was great. Anyway. And guys, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here, making this show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in questions. Number 1, because it gave us great fun things to talk about. But number 2, you supported this channel as you did it. And all of us involved with the show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. Don't forget to come on back and join us again tomorrow. So for the people in the room, Ray Ora,
Hey, everyone, be safe.
Jonathan Voico,
See you guys tomorrow.
writer, director, producer, Robert Meyer Burnett.
Be safe too.
My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.